When there's nothing left but the fire in my chest and the air that fills my lungs, I'll hold my tears and trade my ears for a glimpse at kingdom come. On the other side of misery, there's a world we long to see. The strife we share will take us there to relief and sovereignty. Oh my God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. In our own towns, we're foreigners now. Our names are spat and cursed. The headline smack of another attack, not the last and not the worst. Oh, my fathers, they look down on me. I wonder what they feel to see their noble sons driven down beneath a coward's heel. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. The road is dark, the way is lost. My eyes, they strain to see. I struggle forth to find a friend to light the way for me. Oh, brothers, can you hear my voice, or am I all alone? If there's no fire to guide my way, then I will start my own. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. Oh, by God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home.
Get your balloons and party streamers ready, folks. We are seeing major sign of victory on the road to recapturing our destiny. And we find it in the auspice, that is the good omen, in the article, 4 ways white people can be accountable for addressing anti-black racism at universities. We may also look at the article, white suicides are fine, black suicides are a crisis. Depending on time, we might dip into the article 20 years after 9/11, Islamophobia, of course an anti-white slur, continues to haunt Muslims. No calls tonight as we have a guest, the one and only Brant Danger of the School of the West will be joining us to discuss the latest achievements in that holy endeavor. Your comments and questions, and for all those adult children who are watching with their parents or guardians. You know, anti-whites say that they pick their noses, but I'm pretty sure I didn't have a say in mine. Wow, we are going free. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Please let me know. It is 5 o'clock in Washington, D.C., 7 a.m. in Sydney, 10 in London, and midnight in Moscow. We are going free. It is magnificent to be with all of you, especially as the signs of our success continue to mount everywhere we look around the world. And this we'll be talking about very shortly, folks. Please get your questions and comments in. And if you would like to financially gift, please do so over at Entropy, which is at a cost of 15% to you. That 15% goes to the wonderful people at that platform who keep them afloat, the freedom of speech available to all of us on Entropy. It is a magnificent group of folks and a magnificent platform. You may also financially gift at no cost to you or me at Cash App. Both of the URLs are down in the description. And today, you are now able to financially gift over there on Odysee. We're going to see if somebody will financially gift. Please keep the financial gifts on Odysee very small. Let's see what $2 looks like, because they have fees there, and they might be substantial fees. So if Odysee is your only option for financially gifting, then by all means. Otherwise, let's make it Entropy or Cash App. We'll see, though, what kind of fees there are. If it's $2 or more, $2 to $5, I'll be able to see it live here. And I believe you can also, perhaps you all can fill me in on this if you do this on over there on Odysee. If you can, with your financial gift, if you're able to put some verbiage, a question, a comment, that would be optimal. But who knows? We're working this out as we find out how it operates. You may also financially gift with cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any of it, specifically Ethereum or Bitcoin, and you would like to financially gift, please do so. You can go right over to nowhiteguilt.org, nowhiteguilt.org, nowhiteguilt.org. Click the financial gifts tab, and you will see 4 or 5 of the top 4 cryptocurrencies, at least what I've been told are the top cryptocurrencies. If you have a cryptocurrency that is your favorite and you don't see it listed there, reach out to me and let me know. Perhaps I'll add it as an address. And also, you'll find a snail mail address at which you'll be able to reach out to me. And at that same tab there at nowhiteguilt.org. Over this past week, we had an anonymous gifter financially gift $23.89. So a big thank you very much to the anonymous gifter who financially gifted $23.89. And remember, again, cryptocurrency, Ethereum and Bitcoin, you can do a lot of good with a little bit of either for White Wellbeing. Nowhiteguilt.org. Click the financial gift tab and you will find the addresses there. So how's everybody doing? Let me take a quick look over at D Live. And I see Promethean Healing is over there. Twin something or other. Hello, Twin. And let's see. Raymond is over there. Great to see you. So is Cockney. Great to see you over there. And we'll have a look really quickly at Odysee. Is anybody watching over there? Yes, a few are. Hello to everybody who is watching and yet to comment over there on that new-ish platform. We'll swivel around here and we will take a look at what you all are saying on YouTube. Greek German American is with us. Franklin Peanut, the great Brand Danger, whom we will be speaking to around 6 Eastern time this evening. The great Four Null, Odin Sire, Western Renaissance, J Link, Harbinger is with us. After the Keith Woods verse 2 commie stream, I needed this. I didn't see it. How did that go? Maybe we can speak to some of that. Keith, and what platform did they debate? Of course, you all know that I don't consider such things debates. Where did they argue? American Chestnut Tree, great to see you. Machiavelli sucks. Tyrone, Mr. Caesar, Trudeau may be about to lose his globalist regime. Yes, the great Yes the Eunuch is with us. I have a Sunday to myself finally, so I can catch this week live. Welcome to you, dear sister. Wonderful to have you. And we have Melody Dawn. Wonderful to see you back. The Mouse is with us. Hello. I will slide backward through time, fit and healthy at any age. Kent and the great First Last. Lady Miss Coppertone. Hello. And Tripwire. And Azimuth Clark is with us. The great, one and only Biospirit of the West is with us. And you asked me a question, Biospirit of the West. about something in May, I think it was, and it didn't work on your end, and I did not receive, and that's why I asked and did not receive, and that is why. Greek, German American, great to see you, brother. And let's see, as I roll through here, the great Jared George is with us, or was with us. Wonderful to see the magnificent gentleman, the great Mr. Jared George. Zen Master Me is with us as well. Hello and welcome to you. And 0022 is with us. Welcome, welcome. Kingdom of Vinland and Jonas as well, as we slide backward in time. And I'm just scanning along, folks. So if I miss your name, I still love you. I really do. There's the Carlisle Cockatoo, a sweet sister, is with us. Hello, sister. And Chrissy is with us. And Foster, the one and only Raymond Foster from Down Under is with us, ladies and gentlemen. Hello to you, dear brother. Welcome and welcome again to you. So is Elaine Sabatino Beowulf is with us. Promethean hails to the both of you and welcome. What a magnificent Sunday this has been. It's getting warmer. We had a couple of cool days here in the once great state of Virginia that we'll make again. And the grass just leapt up because it's tall fescue and it loves cooler temperatures. But it's going to be warmer again. In fact, we are in the mid 80s Fahrenheit, and it is getting warmer. And I think this week is going to be all in the mid 90s. So it's going to be a warm week for Northern Virginia outside of Mordor. Let's go ahead and take a quick look. We'll jump on over to these articles. And this one is the one that is making me so excited. And specifically, and should be making you excited as well. And again, folks, let me just make sure. Oh, let me pause that. Let me just make sure that entropy is working well. Nick says, you said it, Jason. You are off of YouTube. You said it, Jason. You are off of YouTube. I don't know what I said, but he's saying I'm off of you. But I'm not off of YouTube. We're here on YouTube. And so we're going to keep rolling though. But get your questions and comments in soon. We want to talk about this because this is very exciting. This is something that for many years now, the camera did the blurry thing again, I think. What is going on with the camera? This is a different camera. So something is, as somebody knows what might be going wrong, why the camera continues to have these issues and has moments of blurriness, please give me an email so maybe we can remedy this issue. Years ago, as one of the pieces of evidence that I told people when I would share my ideas about injecting this new lexicon, injecting the dialectics of going free, one of the great signs would be when the anti-whites would invert what we were doing. And the example I gave, the example I've given for years, is that just like when you have anti-Christians, they become Satanists when they are living in the Christian story. And what do? They take the crucifix, they turn it upside down, they do the mock of the Trinity, and all of these things that are part and parcel of the Christian story, they just invert. And by doing so, they reveal that they are still in that story and that they're essentially just throwing a tantrum. And I said that when the anti-whites are succumbing to the work that we are doing, they will invert what we are doing. And that is exactly the sign that we are seeing. It is so omnipresent now that there is no denying it anymore. It's not like a one-off here or there, somebody chants saying this or somebody chants saying that. No, they are using anti-Muslim, anti-black, anti-this, anti-that, all the non-white races, except for that one group who are, when they are opposing other groups, they never leave their own story. Seems like it's something that works. I wonder why we are the only group of white people here that are able to do the same. It's interesting, but it is proof that we have injected, and I really need to drive home if you all had been, with me and like a little angel on my shoulder, and you've been sitting there all along and hearing these arguments that I have made in so many places, and hearing me talk about the evidence will be this, we will see that the anti-whites will invert what we are doing when they are falling into the trap of what we want, which is our story when it comes to us being the story that they have to deal with, being the story that they have to speak to, being the story that they have to try to make arguments for. We will see that evidence, I said time and again, when they begin inverting what we have said. And sometimes these people tried to say, well, no, when they invert it, well, then they've just defeated you. No, you fools, you absolute fools. I almost forgot that this was a family show. It is the sign that they are succumbing to what they themselves are not able to understand. Just as so many of our people are not able to understand that they are in another people's story, and that people is the anti-whites. They are not able to see that they are in another story, rather than they're believing that they are in some reality, when really it's just a story that the anti-whites take pieces of reality and entire imagination, pulled out of their rear, and they take some bits of reality, manipulate, they torture it to get to anti-white conclusions. It's just an anti-white narrative. That's why we call it that. Well, the anti-whites, everywhere you look now, are succumbing to the work that we have done. Really appreciate, really understand and appreciate what that means, the success that means. I want you to try to put your minds into these multi-million, we're talking tens and hundreds of millions of dollars newsrooms and television studios and the like, where they sit around and people with 6- and 7-figure salaries are trying to figure out, how do we craft what's going on in the world? How do we lie to maintain this anti-white narrative? And they now are having to contend with what you have done. They now are having to try to find ways around things that there is no way around, without revealing who they are, without having to completely tear down and pull back anti-whiteism, which they're not going to do. They're not going to pull it back far enough that they can try to regroup and build new ground again. No, they have gone too far now. This is the battle of the bulge. They have gone too far with anti-whiteism to be able to rein in their desires now and start incrementally trying to build back. No, you all have done that. So when you go home to your modest house, when you get into your modest car, when whatever it is, you head into your modest classroom, or you pick up the modest tools, whatever it is you use for your trade, know now that by your efforts, with the lexicon that we are using here, we have changed societal discourse. And we're going to continue to do so, ladies and gentlemen. We are the ones who have to continue to push this. We are the ones who have to continue to make it happen. When do you know that the concept anti-whiteism has finally been accepted as societal dialogue? When you begin hearing anti-whites in numbers talking about anti-blackism, etc. Keep an eye out. It's not far off in the future, ladies and gentlemen, and it is a great sign, because it is the sign that we are reclaiming our destiny. This is a giant victory on the road to the reclamation of our destiny. Let's go ahead and jump over to this article really quickly on a piece of internet trash called The Conversation, Academic Rigor, Journalistic Flair. Ian TD is here. Great to see you, brother. Bros and bros, Kent is with us. Giga Chad is with us. Euro Yankee, Alex Simpson, John Lovin. Wonderful to see you all. Let's keep rolling, folks. Remember to get your questions and comments in. We're already 21 minutes after the hour. The article is titled, there's a big picture here. It says, "Stop traumatizing us." And it is an anti-white, non-white person with, you can't really see, actually. There's a mask on. Maybe she has a hat on, or maybe that's her hair. And the article is titled, "4 Ways White People Can Be Accountable Because You're Not Already Accountable Enough in the Anti-White Narrative." 4 ways that white people can be accountable for addressing. You see, you have to address it. You just can't not be what they consider to be the ultimate evil. Only, of course, something that white people can be guilty of. Anti-Black racism at universities. You've got to address it, folks. The anti-Black racism. I want you all, when you hear anti-whites, use things like anti-Black, anti-Muslim or something. I want that smile to creep all the way around so that the corners of your mouth touch in the back of your head. Don't tell them. Says here under this photograph that is at the top of this garbage typed article, white folk aren't beyond race. Oh no, the anti-whites. No, you see, they have you pinned under the anti-white narrative for the totality of your life, for the totality of the lives of the infants in your arms, for the totality of the lives of the babies that you want to have with the men or women you love. They are guilty for all time. There's always going to be another excuse. There's always another pretext. There's always another to continue the victimization of Western kind until we get out of the anti-white narrative. Decades of saying this, and we are taking back our destiny. It says white folks aren't beyond race, interrogating Black people's pain at forums. Now, listen to look at that verbiage. Look at how they changed it. So white people who are saying, who are going in there on bended knees, crawling on their knees up to anti-white non-whites, and they're saying, please tell us how you hurt so that we could just fix it. Well, that used to be enough, remember? That used to be enough for a really long time. That's what on your knees, white man, especially, and white woman, on your knees and beg to understand the non-white experience, beg to try to comprehend all the suffering that we go through. And then the white people said, oh, should we do this? And the white males, who were actually men, said, no, Foxtrot, no, we're not doing that. And then all their women said, well, you're not going to get any more loving unless you get on your knees with me to these anti-white non-whites and beg for forgiveness. Because don't you know that once you beg for forgiveness long enough from them and you just do what they want, whatever it is now, you just do this little bit that they want, they'll be placated, and then everything will be better. We'll be fair. It'll be fair, and everything will be better, and everything will get good again. And then the man said, no, I'm not doing that. And then she said, okay, well, I'll just throw tantrums as well as not give you any loving and make your life a living hell until you do that. And then she did. And then finally he said, fine, Jesus, I'll get on my knees and beg to find out what their experience. Of course, somehow anti-white non-whites are able to tell me as a white man exactly what my experience is, even though they've never walked in my shoes. But somehow I can't know anything about their experience. It's an interesting bit of lying. That's what it is, folks. An interesting bit of lying that they do. So now, though, they said getting on your knees and begging for forgiveness, opening your mouths, bending over and opening your mouths, whatever it might be, that used to be enough, but now it's not enough. It never is enough because we're in the anti-white narrative unless you get out with the rest of us who are going free of the anti-white narrative. Now all of your begging and tell me about your experiences and tell me about your pain so that I can understand, so that I can help ameliorate whatever it is, so that I can make you better. Now that is termed by the anti-whites interrogation. White folk aren't beyond race. Interrogating Black people's pain at forums supposedly dedicated to undoing racism is part of the problem. Yeah, you heard that right, folks. Being on your knees with your mouth open and being bent over with your mouth open is not enough. That's actually harming them, you see? You see how this works, dummies? You see how this works, dumb white people out there? You see how this works? All those white people who want to escape the reality that we are being victimized on the basis of our race and that it never ends. It will never end in their story. You are a dumb donkey. You are a dumb donkey, and you need to stop being such a coward. And you can stop being such a coward and get out from underneath of your wife's or out from behind your wife's skirt or your mother's skirt or whatever it is, your wife, mother's skirt, and come out and be brave and stand up and say, well, you know what? This actually is a victimization of me, because it's a victimization of my people. And I am a member of I can't escape that. It doesn't matter. I can never be anti-white enough. We can see right now. Guess what? Guess what, folks out there? Art is life. Guess what? Like comedies. Guess what? Laughing at something maybe I just said. Guess what? Like comedies and art is life. I'm going to tell you something. The people who got on their knees and bent over for these anti-whites in the past, guess what? They weren't anti-white enough back then. Now, actually, they were the problem. Now they'll be able to be fired. Now they'll be able to not get hired because they weren't anti-white enough for all time. You remember we've talked about this, folks? The great Austin is here. I know both of those folks that I was just speaking to. Wonderful people. Art is life and like comedies. I know that they both know that. That's why I picked them out. You always pick out the brightest students in the class, don't you? Says here, the typist of this article is a non-white woman. And this is the wonderful, these non-white people. And I'm going to assume that she identifies as Black. Always heavy dilution of white DNA in them. Always heavy dilution. Heavy dilution. Heavy dilution. She says here, her name is Köhne Sanchez. Köhne Sanchez. It's, I guess, maybe a French name, Karine, but I don't know how she pronounces it. Köhne Sanchez says here, I'm guessing she identifies as Black, which is laughable. She writes, quote, actually, is this from something else? Or she's quoting, she's the one who typed the article as she threw darts at pictures of white people that she's hung around the studio apartment. Actually, no, she's probably living in something, palatial that I would never be able to afford because I'm a white man and I'm able to be ignored for jobs and ignored, et cetera, et cetera. What? 3.98 GPA? But you're a white guy. Are you kidding? Quote, I am colonized and I must live in a world of the colonizer. Funny name for a rap star would be the colonizer. The colonizer. Extra funny if it were a white rapper. Although the proverbial shackle has been removed. The proverbial shackle. Because they're still literally shackled idiots has been removed. I am enslaved by systemic barriers. My heart bleeds of pain and anger. My lived experience will never be based on your level of comfort. And she buys her expensive latte from Starbucks and then climbs into her $80,000 Escalade. The recent resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement has ignited an ongoing debate on the role of education in the collective awakening or reawakening on racial justice. It's got to be reawakened because it's been dormant. Because it hasn't been just going on hard long enough. We got to reawaken. Could you imagine? This is like the entire Northwest of forests of the United States. Every time we have a forest fire, terrible thing. Some ways they say it's a good thing because it cleans things out. Forests are able to grow anew and young and all of that. I get it. But, you can imagine if you're looking at several thousand acres of forest fire and then the pyromaniac who's anti-white pyromaniac who started it comes out and says, we really got to get the fire rolling. It's practically out. Post-secondary institutions can provide the space to cultivate the new knowledge of and critically discuss social inequity. The new knowledge and critically discuss social inequity. Do you want to continue to have a conversation inside their story? Thank God in heaven we are making them enter our story. Out of our wills, we are making this happen. We used intelligence. to create the lexicon and dialectics. We subjected them to the scientific method. We got rid of what didn't work. We have retained what did work. And then by our wills and our wills alone, we are forcing our story on those who have victimized us all the way to the point of this Karine Cohen-Sanchez now falling right beautifully into our tale and using the inverse. Just invert that crucifix, baby. Just invert it. Just go ahead all you want, because it's working beautiful for us. You just keep doing what you're doing. So post-secondary institutions, she types, can provide the space to cultivate new knowledge and critically discuss social inequity, as though the universities are not already dominated by anti-whites, as though, how many times have parents sent their children off, or siblings seen their siblings go off to some university, and they were normal when they left, and then when they came back, they had like tentacles out of the tops of their heads, and they were like spitting venom at Western civilization everywhere they turn, especially the girls. They're just like, die, Western civilization, as though that's not already happening. These things, these cocoons of evil. So let's continue. As the new school year begins, Cohen-Sanchez types, scribbles. She scribbles. She dribbles. Many of us are eager to return to our new normal. Bless you. As we both adapt to new health measures due to COVID-19 and prepare to discuss various social issues through our hazmat suits. How are you going to know that somebody is white and deserving of victimization if maybe the white people will be allowed to not wear hazmat suits? Because after all, we need to be victimized according to the anti-whites. And so shouldn't we be forced to be exposed to those forces, those health issues? Universities are increasingly establishing formal mandates for addressing. You want to know how talented Cohen-Sanchez is. She typed this with her toes. Universities are increasingly establishing formal mandates for addressing anti-Black racism on their campuses. In the attempt to acknowledge their diverse student body, some professors may be preparing to teach a new inclusive syllabus. It's going to be new because everything that we've endured for all of our lives, our parents' lives, our grandparents' lives, it wasn't inclusive enough. It wasn't anti-white enough. It's going to be more anti-white, according to Cohen-Sanchez. As these changes take place, it is critical to speak openly about social accountability. Yeah, it's critical. So what does that mean? White people, you have to admit your guilt in not being anti-white enough. And you have to be more deferential. You have to give up more of yourself, more of your future, more of your inheritance, more of everything. Why aren't you dead already? Is what anti-whites would say. Understanding one's historical social position. It just, could you imagine? I remember I was in a class many moons ago, many moons. And there was a Black woman, and she was a lovely lady from Africa. And she, every single thing that she talked about had to deal with she always related it to the warring tribes. Every single thing. Within like a sentence and a half, it was immediately to, what this warring tribe and that warring tribe was doing. And kind of a one track. I can understand. I mean, you're in the midst of that sort of thing, but you're in America. The tribes are not here warring. From at least the ones we're dealing with. But this is the exact same of one track mind. It's not going anywhere. And here's Cohen-Sanchez, a picture of her. And she has her hair done up in knots, and I don't know what they refer to it as. Oh, it's not her hair. It's the stuff they add to her hair, I imagine. And it says, she's holding a sign, and it says, "I can't breathe." The sign reads, "I feel suffocated by white supremacy." You know, there's a place on earth, or there are places on earth where there aren't any white people at all. None. And if you're having a hard time respirating, then maybe you should quickly get to one of those places. I'm guessing, though, that she is not having a difficult time respirating because her face and lips are not turning blue. In fact, they are quite sort of blackish. Sort of. You're not black, Cohen Sanchez. I mean, just face it. I know you want to pretend to be, but you're not black. So we'll continue, though. Her hair is lovely. I don't know what it's called, what that's called. I am, she types with her feet, a black PH. Oh, she does think she's black. I didn't actually know that. I just figured because she was part of the Black Lives Matter. I am a black PhD candidate. I thought it was stapled to your birth certificate. Why are you going through the work? A candidate in sociology, what a surprise, who examines systemic racism, another surprise. Embedded in educational institutions, oh my God. The anti-white concept, slur, systemic racism, embedded in educational institutions. No, anti-whiteism is rife throughout educational institutions, but systemic racism, that concept, no, I'm afraid not. I have found myself both formally and informally called upon to educate white people about anti-black racism. Good. On many campuses, black academics, regardless of whether, you see, here's the thing. Black academics are yet to be carried on, like beers by white slaves everywhere they go. If there isn't a throne for black academics to, or just any black people to sit on while white slaves carry them from, emaciated slaves to carry them from, another throne. They get off that throne to get onto the throne in the classroom. Or, it's probably just all sinecures where they don't have to do any work, just money. And then maybe they'll stop. No, they actually won't, because there'll still be white people carrying them around. And don't they know how evil they are? Black academics, regardless of whether they are actually studying racism or not, or how many of them actually are not studying racism? That's a question. Are asked to take on additional labor-related equity work, often without compensation, or really. So you want to be on top of everything already that you're already being paid for, and jobs that I'm sure you got that had nothing to do with your race or sex. Nothing. I'm sure had nothing to do with it. You want also to be paid for your anti-white activism in the streets. Wow. Yeah. I mean, talk about why don't we go with this another group? I mean, I would say like Audacity, but I think it's more apropos to say chutzpah. Without compensation or the assurance that recommendations will be heeded. So in other words, that your demand will immediately be implemented. Well, that's a little poorly veiled there, Cohen Sanchez. You probably could have done a little better, but I guess in today's age, you don't have to. What are the risks? She asked. Black, radicalized, and indigenous people are exposed to white denialism. Wow. Here, that is another MP. White denialism. You thought you heard them all, which provokes a narrative of us versus them. We are also subject to emotional eruptions where white people are at the center or put in a position where they are pressed to offer personal anecdotes as a testimony to the realities of systemic racism. So you hear that, ladies and gentlemen. For all of you dumb white people out there, for all the dumb white people out, Masumi Rabbit, who did the wonderful cartoon, is here. He's got a bunch of fires in the live chat. Great to see you, brother. For all of you dumb people out, folks, everybody listening, you have some dumb people in your family, right? You have some dumb people. You've talked to them. You know who they are. Dumb white people. There's the great American Zarathustra. He's with us. Wonderful to see you, brother. And they thought, we just give them a little, you just share your testimonial of how you have seen this anti-white concept racism or systemic racism at work. And now guess what? Having done that, now you've aggrieved them. You've aggrieved them because you've got in their way. You've gotten in their way by doing that. You've gotten some attention. You've been allowed to keep your job. You've been allowed to be kept out of living in a box down by the river. And that's a problem to Cohen Sanchez, you see. It's a problem that you have been able to not be as victimized as she would like by just being anti-white. And now she's saying, oh, no, you dumb white people. We're going to turn up the heat. And now that aggrieves us too. We see how this works. Interconnection of race, power, practices. It is critical that we pay attention to and recognize the scholars like George J. Sifadeh. That sounds like he's right out of Germany or Ireland, or I'm sure he is. A professor of education. His name has named the interconnection of race, social powers, and cultural practices. Okay, so he's named this. Is this like a concept? White accountability. Oh, he's named it white accountability. For addressing and eradicating anti-Black racism isn't about validating the experiences of the Black communities, dumb white people. That actually is the concept racism. Oh, the white women are ringing. What can we do? We're just always. Yes, you're always wrong. You're always going to be wrong in their story. Stop turning things over. Stop giving away your children's future. Stop giving away your inheritance, what you would have bequeathed as their inheritance to the future generations of our people that deserve it. Stop giving it away to these universities. Stop giving it away to these anti-white groups like the one that we've named here today. Stop giving all of it away because it's never enough. It's not enough to the anti-whites until you are dead. Do you get it? Until you are dead. Until everything is white erased from Western civilization. Until it's all in ashes. That is the only time that it will be enough. Cohen Sanchez and Sifadeh are making sure you know that. Thank you to the both of you. It's about understanding, Sifadeh says, facets of one's own social position. How do you understand a facet of your social position? How does that get understood? Now, of course, it's not just an understanding they're looking for some sort of action. How do you surrender your social position, dumbass? This means understanding the various ways that race or citizenship have shaped access to both material and cultural resources. I have not read this before we got started. I did not read this. All I read was the title. Seeing Anti-Black, that's all I read. And what did I just say? Am I right? Are you on the right path by going free? This means understanding the various ways that race or citizenship have shaped access to both material and cultural resources. Turn them over, Whitey, and shaped what a person takes for granted. For example, white settlers in Canada and other colonial settler societies must acknowledge the harm. And again, how do we acknowledge that? They've acknowledged it. White people, anti-white whites, and absolute imbecilic whites have been apologizing for longer than all of us before we were born. They've been acknowledging and apologizing. Must acknowledge the harms associated with international colonization and the slave trade, and the intergenerational effects on Black, racialized, and indigenous communities. Yes. Yes. Oh, the harm that just continues, the harm that's just endless. It's just endless harm on you all. Then get the foxtrot out. I am so sick of their goddamn story. I am so sick of this anti-white narrative. Get the foxtrot out. I mean, can you believe having someone into your home, giving them a room, giving them a bathroom and everything, and then all they do is complain that they don't have everything that is yours, and you've been giving thing after thing after thing after thing, and now you live in a corner in your two-car garage, what used to be your two-car garage, and they still complain. Get out. Let's take a look at this really quickly. I want to make sure before we miss it, I got to look at this on the phone because I couldn't pull this story up. You're going to love this one. This has got to be mixed in right in the middle of what we're talking about here. Because as we read about the anti-whites, specifically non-white anti-whites, saying it's never enough in the anti-white narrative, we read this on the New York Times. What's going on with our black girls? Experts warn of rising suicide rates. You know how much this pissed me off? The suicide rate. Now, ask CNN to find out if this is true or not. But people have shared that the suicide rates are highest among white males. Please look this up for yourselves. Make sure it's true. And that not only is it highest, but it is going through the roof. Over the past, couple decades or so, steady climbing. Not a word from the anti-whites. Why? Because they want you dead. If you're a white male, they want you dead. If you are, if you're the mother of a white male, they want your son dead. If you are the wife of a white male, they want your husband dead. The sister, they want your brother dead. You got it? They want you dead. So that's why they are delighted when they look at those. They're not going to write any articles lamenting that. But we see this here, let's see if I can even see her name. It's a Christina Köhne. We'll just pronounce it that way. For more than a decade, and this is what I knew they would reveal here in this article, their true sentiments about how much they hate us, as particularly white males, by way of the immediate juxtaposition with how concerned they are over non-whites and specifically black young females whom they are claiming are committing suicide. I wonder why might they commit suicide? Could the endless portrayal of black males choosing white females for mates in all of the goddamn media, on all of the advertising, could that maybe make a young black girl a bit morose? Could that make her think, wow, she's not going to be able to get an actual good black guy because the good black guys are going to be out there with the white girls? Might that play some sort of a role in the suicides among young black women? For more than a decade, suicide rates have been increasing in black children and adolescents. I wonder where Christina was as she's been writing for this filthy rag called the New York Times, where nothing but anti-whites, buzz around and not only on wings like hornets, but high on whatever drug that they're using that day. I wonder how many times she has been just heart-stricken with the news of all the white suicides. Never. Increasing in black children, adolescents, a new study says sharpest rise occurred among young black girls. This study, published on Thursday in the Journal of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, found that just over 1,800 black children died by suicide. And it gives some dates here. Deaths, terrible thing that anyone is committing suicide, by the way. We don't want black children, Hispanic children that are non-white, speaking specifically of non-white groups right now. We don't want any group of children or adults committing suicide. But anti-whites, they want white people dead. I mean, let's just be realistic. How many pieces of evidence do you need? So it goes on here. And while most of the deaths of these suicides from the study were among boys, especially those 15 to 17, the gender gap is narrowing. One place where these anti-white females, they don't want the gender gap to narrow is with suicides. They don't want the gender gap to narrow when it comes to sentencing for the exact same crimes, when males get far more larger sentences. They don't want the gender gap narrowing when it comes to those jobs that are really arduous and really just demanding and kill a lot of the workers. They don't want the gender gap narrowing there. Are you joking? No. What they want is they want females dominating everywhere. As long as they're displacing white males. You can't displace non-white males. As long as you displace white males, that's what they want. Everywhere. All right, let's see. Suicide rate among girls has increased more than twice the increase of boys. The study says, I'm just trying to zip through to find, because I scanned this and saw, I think I saw at least, what an immediate juxtaposition. A quote that was like, whoa, what's going on with our black girls? Said Ariel Sheftal, the lead author of the study. Really? So the lead author of the study, Sheftal, said, that was like, whoa, it caught me a little off guard. Wow. I mean, geez. Science, America, Western civilization, doing really good. Mortality data shows that suicide rates of U.S. teenagers and young adults remain highest in boys, particularly whites. And then she tries to water it down. Now, see, I've seen the data over the years. She tries to water this down by saying the highest suicide rates are among boys, particularly whites. That's true as far as the data that I've seen, but check with CNN. And then she tries to water it down that it's white boys who are killing themselves far more than everybody else, watering it down by giving the next two groups down the list, Native Americans, American Indians, we don't use that term, Native Americans, and Alaska, I guess, what would we call those? I've never even had to confront that. They refer to it as Alaskan Natives, so non-white Alaskans. So she tries to water down the reality. She just says here, Christina, whatever her name is, she just said here, yeah, the group that's committing the most suicide are white boys, but we have a crisis on our hands. Non-white youths are killing themselves. This is the anti-white morality. This is what you're dealing with. This is why you don't use their verbiage and thereby live in their story. Because they hate you to death. Literally, they hate you to death. Suicide rate of black males has gone up a bit, but of black females, it's gone up even more. Crisis, American crisis, Canadian crisis. Let's make sure that we rob the white taxpayer for billions of dollars to attend to this crisis. Get some more 7-figure salaries out there to anti-white non-whites in these ridiculous sounding titled positions, like diversity training, suicide preventing officer, 7.5 figures for you. Taxpayer dollars. Let's see. I think in the past, suicide, goddamn, listen to this. I think in the past, suicide or suicidal behavior was just thought of as a white thing, said Dr. Sheftal, a principal investigator of the Center for Suicide Prevention and Research at the Abigail Wexner Research Institute at Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus, Ohio. What a piece of shit. What absolute Sierra this woman is. She actually said, well, we used to just think of it as just white boys killing themselves, which is really no big deal. You piece of shit. I'm sorry, folks. Protect your children's ears. That infuriates the hell out of me. I quote is what this piece of shit. I think in the past, suicide or suicidal behavior was just thought of as a white thing. But now we've got a crisis. Now non-whites are killing themselves, not at the same rate. No. I mean, there's a big gap. White boys are up here and non-whites are down here. But any non-white people harming themselves, that's a crisis we got to do something about. I tell you, I wish the best on you, you absolute chef-tool piece of filth. I wish the best. I hope just wonderful, wonderful things happen to you and your family. I hope absolute wonderful things happen to you, piece of. 20 years after 9/11, Islamophobia, anti-whiteism, continues to haunt Muslims. Oh, that's the problem. 20 years later, I saw the plane that crashed into the Pentagon. So if you want to say something else about that, then just keep it to yourself. Don't ban any of those people who just delete their comments, who want to say that something else happened there. I was on my way to work. I worked on the Hill. How many lives have to suffer every year? I have to see every September 11th, the windows on the plane. There's no escaping the image. And there are others who obviously they lost loved ones, they were maimed, they suffered far worse. And here you have ABC News talking about how hard it is on Muslims. Well, I don't know. I can guess, though, that having somebody think ill of you is not nearly as bad as watching a plane load of people go to their death and then have to relive that for the rest of your life. Anti-Muslim hate crimes spiked after 9/11 and during the Trump administration, writes Kiera Alfonseco. There aren't any more like Patty Jones anymore. Wonder why the news has changed. September 11, 2001 marked the start of a new era for Muslims in the United States. Well, yeah. And you know what some Muslim people did? And this is a religion, not a race. We know that there are good people who practice the Muslim religion without question. Without question, there are good people who practice the Muslim religion. And you know what they did? They came out and they condemned the hell out of everyone who was believed to be a participant, and all of the practitioners of whatever it might be who were supposedly misinterpreting, they condemned that. How many of them actually were there, though? But there were good ones out there, and they did that, and those were the folks who should be lauded for their heroism, especially because often in this group or groups, in certain groups, when you say something negative, when you're critical, you find yourself dead. Shortly after Al-Qaeda terrorists attacked the Twin Towers and the Pentagon, many Muslims, as well as other Arab Americans, became the targets of anger and the anti-white slur, racism. Never ends, folks. Never ends. And you can see how all these tie together. Let's jump to the bottom of that first article in the final. Here we have a photograph in that first article. It's a privilege to educate yourself about racism instead of experiencing it. So you see what's coming for you? See what's coming for your babies? White man who is a white male, white boy in an adult body, and white woman out there, or white female, because you never became a white woman, never a woman of the West. All of your placating, all of your all of your just promises and turning over and selling the future for of your children, selling it away to placate vicious monsters who want to absolutely destroy and victimize us. All of that now did nothing. And now they're back because they never left. And they want more. The blood is what they want. Dead. Says under the photograph, we need to shift the conversation from intentions to accountability. So everybody that turned things over, all you dummies out there these conservatives who like, I reach out to them and I'm like, hey, you want to appear on the show? Nothing. They get silenced back. In the flyover country, they call themselves Kansas, where they live in a town that's 100% white, totally pristine. And they're like, why don't they understand that it's just all about these abstractions? These functionally comatose imbeciles. Guess what's coming for you? What they're saying right there, that's the groundwork for suffering persecution. That's the groundwork for suffering persecution, because that'll be the only way. This is just a couple of years out, dum-dums. That argument is just a couple of years away. The anti-whites will be saying, it's not enough to apologize. It's not enough to turn everything over. It's not enough to give up your future. It's not enough to give up your children's future. You have to experience the persecution that, of course, these, maybe a 15, 20-year-old or whatever never did. But you know what? You're white. And so therefore you're responsible not only for slavery in the United States, which was, of course, practiced on more than one race, including the white race, not only slavery here, but slavery that everyone practiced throughout all of time. You're responsible for all of that. The entire white race for all time, all of you responsible for the Halla something or other. And you're also responsible even for chasing the Jewish people out of Egypt. You're responsible for that too. You got to make amends. And the only way you'll be able to make amends, you dum-dums, is by living the persecution. Live those chains. Remember how she started off, Cohen Sanchez, in this article. The chains she spoke of that were just sort of metaphorical, but they're still there. They're still on us. And it's not enough to apologize. In fact, that aggrieves us. It's a privilege to just talk about it. You have to live it like they live it. You get it? She ends with this. Let's see. The very end. What is she? I'm gonna guess. As Malcolm X states, quote, education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those people who prepare for it today, close quote. But education needs to happen ethically, in a way that respects Black people's identities and experience, or else we are going the wrong way. So you got it? You're going the wrong way. You are all going the wrong way. When the cold steel slaps onto your wrists and you have to go through your life as less than a second-class citizen, which we already are across the West. We have to go through your life where you are the old definition of outlaw, where no crime is punishable against you. Then you'll know. But for the rest of us, we're going free, goddammit, and we're not going to put up with any of this garbage. Drowning in the argument, the anti-white says, what exactly is anti-white? You have got to be animated with the righteous passion of reclaiming our destiny. We are the heroes of this era.
Gotta get along and walk beside the road. my needs were not a wanderer to load. Show another way. I knew not what to say. You took me off the road to know the way. Girl from Galway Bay. You took me out of time to know today. Girl from Galway Bay. Open fields and skies had been my only home. Worn out boots and on my back was all I owned. The last town had me framed. The next will be the same. You took me off the road to know the way. The girl from Galway Bay. You took me out of time to know today. The girl from Galway Bay. Turn to me and let me see everything. Seeing you now lets me give you something. See each other give and have everything. Now nothing to hide. Took me off the road to know the way. Girl from Galway Bay. You took me out of time to know today. Girl from Galway Bay. Oh.
Exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
All right, I was getting a little fired up there. We're going to be bringing Brand forward in just a moment, and I will make sure the audio is working okay. That is thegreatorder.com, thegreatorder.com. Accidentally clipped off the end where it showed his website. That's Jared George's thegreatorder.com. Please share that song. He's such a splendid performer, isn't he? I mean, that was magnificent. And absolutely perfect at the end of the acerbic first hour that I had given to come in there with that lovely piece out there in nature. I was saying, and I didn't plan that. It worked out beautifully, though. We're not going to put up with it. And then you have this magnificent performer out in nature on a beautiful day and a different direction that we are obviously going than the rest of, or than a great chunk, obviously, of the white population. But we're going to be learning all about School of the West in just a moment. I'm going to take a quick look. Hold tight, Brant. I'm going to take a quick look at, looks like over there on Odysee, we do not have any financial gifts. So we don't know, we don't know exactly yet how much they're charging. They could be charging as much as Odysee charging 5%. And then a processing fee of 33%. So we'll keep a close eye on it if anybody sends in some financial gifts. We have over here the great, and let's get the round of raucous emojis going, everybody. Loud and proud for the one and only Brad C., a great champion in this community, financially gifting $25 US. God bless you, brother. What a champion. Let's give this man a salute and some raucous celebratory emojis in there in the live chat. Thank you, brother. $25. And he writes, Promethean hails, good brother. Well, a big Promethean hails to you as well. True champion. I see Misty is with us, and so is Jerome. Natorific is with us, ladies and gentlemen. Anglo-Saxon, What the Harbinger, Coconut. So many champions. It's wonderful to see you all. K-Max, you all are here just in time. Budgie Burger, because we're going to be bringing Brant forward in just a moment. Ursa Major is here. Wonderful to see you. Puxos, hello to you and welcome as well. Tell all your friends that we are going free, that we're having, what an amazing day it is, though. For all of this, how disgustingly immoral these anti-white, these pieces of filth are, and the Bravo Sierra that they scoop toward us, for as disgusting as they are, we are witnessing a specified marker of victory on our way to the reclamation of our destiny. And of course, we're doing that already. We're reclaiming the destiny in ourselves, our destiny in ourselves so many ways. We're reclaiming our destiny in our children's education with the supplemental material that you can get at schoolofthewest.world, and we'll be checking it out in just a moment. Let's see. R Swag, hello to you and welcome. 3B2B, hello and welcome to you as well. Are we having fun? Corvus is here. Welcome to you. It is getting exciting, ladies and gentlemen. When I have so many of these instances coming in that finally with this in this article in the title, this anti-Black racism in the title of this article, it's just, this is not a one-off here or there or a dozen off here or there. I mean, it is happening. They are succumbing to the story that we are pushing into society. Imagine it on a global level. That's what you are doing on a global level. Thoughts on marriage contracts in the West being based and set up to destroy men. Giga Chad. Is that how you pronounce it? Maybe I'll check. I'll come back to that question. I will actually. Can you jump onto entropy and write it into the question widget? And that way it won't go anywhere. It won't roll off the screen. Or if you stick around and you bring it back after we bid adieu to Brant Danger and School of the West today, and we will we'll definitely take a look and address that question. Magnificent. Let us jump over here quickly and see. We have the great Rory is with us, ladies and gentlemen. Financially gifting $3. God bless you, brother, and wonderful to see you. He says, good evening, Jason. You're dressed very white this evening. Thanks so much, brother. Yes, very white this evening. And how's the groundhog doing? If you reveal him again tonight, I'll promise I'll order a copy of It's a Comedy, Damn It. Well, then I'll definitely, I want you to laugh at It's a Comedy, Damn It. I will send you It's a Comedy, Damn It on me. How does that sound, Roy? Reach out to me, and it's my comedy novella or novelette, however you want to phrase it. It's a very short, wonderful, funny little book. I use some fairly rare verbiage in there, vocabulary. So you'll have to look a few things up, maybe, and potentially, but nonetheless, it's a zany story, quite fun. And I'll break out maybe the groundhog as well. But it's on the house to you, my dear brother. You're a wonderful champion, and you do so much for going free. Love you, brother. The great Irish Ice. Now, I got to tell you really quickly, I'm going to bring on Brant. Don't go anywhere, Brant. I'm going to bring on Brant, because this is exciting, and we don't want to put this off long. School of the West. My God, the things that we are building in service to white well-being in the white positive sphere, there's no parallel. There is simply no parallel. We are changing the world, for God's sake. Irish Ice, a man here so motivated, going free now for quite some time. Financially gifting $5. I'm going to read what he says here, though. I've been meeting new people in my city and talking and taking them with me to do flyering. One girl was so excited to help, she wanted to put up every poster I've been sharing Go Free with those most affected by white erasure and he names a town. I'm not going to name it just to protect him. And they are grateful. That is magnificent. What a champion. The thing I got to say about Irish Ice here, folks, absolutely just scintillating individual. He has gotten the verbiage himself, a single man has gotten the verbiage, the lexicon of Going Free that defeats anti-whiteism. He has gotten it into the media in his major metropolitan city, major city, several times. Not once, not twice, not three times. It's been like 4 or 5 times. He has gotten them to write about these lovely leaflets that he's written up and posted where it's legal to do so. And then they end up having to use the verbiage in the most recent one, actually calling White Wellbeing evil. And just imagine what white people are thinking when they read that. What? What do they think of this paper? What does this author of this paper think? Magnificent. But here's the thing I really wanted to say. And we're going to jump right over to Brant because you're going to love everything we have to say about School of the West. Is that Irish Ice has, my God, I can't even tell you, maybe more than 50% of his comments do not make it onto the thread on YouTube. And then a percentage of the ones that do make it end up getting deleted by YouTube or by someone somehow. They delete his comment, and they're white positive comments that he's making. You know, he might say something like, if there's an anti-white, get in their face and tell them how they're the immoral ones, tell them they're anti-white. He says stuff like that. Nothing violent, nothing whatsoever. But somebody somewhere in the chain, who knows, ask CNN, decides that this guy's comments are not going to make it. How many of you have the staying power that this guy has? The patience and the endurance to continue time and again, comment after comment, putting him up again and again and again, so that he's not going to allow the anti-whites to defeat. That's the spirit you have to have, ladies and gentlemen. That's the spirit. Well, everybody get ready, because right now we're going to bring forward the one and only Brant Danger, leader of School of the West. And I think we all are in for a very big surprise as I bring him forward. I hope, do you intend to surprise us this way, sir? Because I can see when I'm about to, okay, I guess you are. Here he comes, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only in the flesh. Mr. Danger is with us. Brother, wonderful to see you. How are you, good sir? A big salute to you and all the work that you were doing and all your champions over there in service to White Wellbeing.
I'm doing
Let's see
fine.
if we can hear you. I can't hear anything yet.
You cannot hear me?
There you are. I can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay.
Yes.
Is that better?
Oh, we hear you clearly, brother.
Okay, thank you. All right.
How are you doing? Is this the first time on camera?
No, actually, I had an interview with American Zarathustra and
And you were on camera?
And Daniel Concannon, yeah, on Monday.
That is fantastic. So brand new on camera just this week. And he's with us, folks. Second time on camera. This is the champion of starting and the engine behind, the spirit behind School of the West. And thank God he's with us. Let's get a big round of applause for this champion. White positive as the day is long, going free, using the lexicon. Wait till you see the website updates. That's what he's going to be talking about. The floor is yours, champion.
Okay. Well, what I want to do is briefly go back over the school for people that may have joined up to your streams in the past year. The School of the West website is a homeschooling website that parents can use as a supplemental resource if you want to take your kids out of that anti-white environment. And there are different subjects that the parents use. We've got math, English language arts, there's some science, history and culture. There is even engineering. We're also expanding into art.
Wow.
And whatever else people come up with. So a couple of things that I want to do today specifically is I want to talk about classes that are coming up. I'm going to be teaching online classes. And so I have a list of people that I want to thank, because I've never thanked anyone yet for all the work that put in. So before I launch into my speech, do you have any questions, anything that I need to talk about?
No, I don't, but I want to bring up the website on the screen, and I think I'm going to go to Avatar so that I'm not feeding too much information back to you, because you're breaking up just a little bit here and there. So I will go to Avatar, and I will bring up the image of the School of the West, and then please, the floor is yours. I am so excited about this. All right. I see School of the West. And there we are. All right, brother. Go ahead.
Okay. So if you scroll down, again, for people that are new to this, you're going to see the different categories. And all along, this run complete either by or by volunteer.
Hold on, brother. You're going a little robot there. We might need you to turn off your camera so that we can hear you clearly.
All right, hang on.
We will both be an avatar for the time being, folks. So we can check this out as Brant tells us all about these different categories. As you can see, if you have not visited the website before, folks, it is schoolofthewest.world. Schoolofthewest.world. And you can see here clearly, this is supplemental material for the time being. We have big dreams for the future, folks, but supplemental material for the time being for homeschool, but really filling this out really fast, looking magnificent. And that is what Brant's going to be talking about. Brother, go right ahead.
Can you still hear?
You went a little robot right there. Let me try. Don't do anything. I'm going to pull this down and we'll see if we can hear you clearly without it on the screen. Now try now.
Okay. How about now?
Yep. Okay. We heard that. Okay. It wasn't robotic at all.
All right. Maybe I'm just becoming a robot. Maybe that's something that we need to think about. Okay. I couldn't turn my camera off, so I just yanked it out of the computer.
Oh, okay.
That'll work. Okay. So this is awkward so far. Is the School of the West on the screen?
I can put it back up, and we'll see if
okay.
We'll see if you do not, if you stay human and rather than robotic. Okay, here we go.
Okay, I'll do my best.
All right, there we are. It's on the screen now.
Okay. All right. So White Wellbeing, I'll come back and talk about that. Language arts is typical ELA. That's going to be grammar for the most part, what we have inside of there. History and culture. If you click on the little hamburger there, Jason, for history and culture, you're going to see that we have the Meet Your People series by Lovely Porridge, The Great and Joseph Montauk, and the Viking. So have worked on and down below we have mathematics, we have art, we have science, and we have programming and engineering.
Wow, programming and engineering. That is magnificent.
Right. Well, see, it might seem strange for homeschooling subjects, but to go back that saying that the future belongs to people that show up, what I'm putting on the site, there's myself and another teacher, we've got some foundational material, and then whoever has expertise in a certain area and they want to volunteer time and put together the material for the site, I put it on the site. So that's why it's a little strange. It's unusual for what you might be using for material.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, that's just how it's going to work out. It's going to build out over time. It's just whoever responds first, you got to do the work and it gets on there.
Right. So I'll just reiterate that there's supplemental materials on there, folks, and there's going to be a spectrum of it. You have it for youth, you have it for teenagers on these little hamburger. For example, what Brant was saying was like where I clicked under history and culture, you had these 3 different categories. You had meet your people, and it's for youngsters. And then the Great Westman, teens, it says in parenthetically, and then Viking history, parenthetically, teens as well. So these are all things that you can use as homeschooling mothers and fathers, maybe even big brothers or sisters, uncles or aunts. And you can then use this material to help in the education. And there are many parents who are supplementing the education that their children are getting at public environments, but also at very expensive private environments, because the kind of material that they're getting there is getting just grotesquely anti-white by the day. But I pass it back to you, brother. I just want to reiterate that so that everybody took what you were saying there, because a couple of points you did blink out.
Okay, yeah. If this is a professional patient, this would just be a train wreck. But anyway, we'll press on with this. One of the main things that I wanted to say is that I'm going to be starting some lessons in October. So on the main page, if people are looking at the site, link called membership plan, I'm offering 2 different lessons for teaching. Basic plan is going to be teaching elementary level math and elementary level ELA, which is going to be reading, writing, and grammar. And then I have another membership level for people that want individual lessons, so that like a one teacher with their child.
Wow! So you are going. Let me just restate. You are going to be offering tutoring, teaching. That there'll be one sort of membership tier. Where it will be multiple people will be able to, have their children watch the education you're giving them in these different categories. What was it? Mathematics, and what were the other?
Mathematics and English language arts. We just call it ELA.
ELA. So mathematics and ELA, and then there will be another tier for one-on-one tutoring as well. Right. Yeah. So, that is exciting. All right. Please continue, brother.
Right. Yeah. And that's going to be me. All right. So it's me teaching your kids elementary level and then also tutoring lessons. So on the membership plans, I wrote down what the specialties are I have in tutoring, and we can talk about if they need help with something else, because I've actually taught from kindergarten all the way up into university level. So I have a, pretty broad spectrum of what I can work with. And, inherent in that, I will be teaching some white well-being, but I don't have a specific class on that yet. And so I've got to set up for class. I have well-being offered as part of curriculum added in at no charge. I'll also get science up and running at some point. Probably start with life science, a little bit of earth and space science, and I might teach that as one class. Elementary grade.
So you will be, just really quickly, you will be at some point you're thinking about also teaching earth and science classes.
That's correct. Yes. Because I also have a background as a science teacher, so I want to incorporate science as well. See, what I want to work towards is having all the free material on the website so homeschooling parents can use that as they wish, but also have lessons for homeschooling parents that don't necessarily want to teach everything to their kids. They might want to have a qualified teacher teach them some subjects so they know that their kids aren't going to be having any holes in their education, and they're going to have a trained teacher keep the kids with what the standards are, pretty much wide. Right. So end of a certain time period, they're going to know that kids were taught that the quote norms get to school, plus the white well-being, plus as I have history imbued, put into these classes, they're also going to get history that there's no way in the world that they would get in public schools, and they all know why.
Well, that is very exciting. That is very exciting. So what Brand is saying, folks, just to reiterate, these classes are going to be available right away. You're going to have the mathematics and what was it, ELA, and
yes,
that he'll be offering. for groups, and then another tier for one-on-one. Looking into the future, offering white well-being education for children, history that is obviously not going to be offered because it's not anti-white, and they're not going to be able to demonize us with it. And this, of course, is going to be for parents, earth and science classes as well. Brant has a background from elementary teaching all the way up to university level, folks. And this is going to be for everybody out there who has children who they're either homeschooling them themselves. Maybe they don't want to do the math part. Maybe they don't want to do the ELA part. Maybe they don't want to do the earth and science, whatever it might be. Maybe they want somebody teaching their children about white well-being, because what Brant's done, and I think what we'll do, and because I really would like Brant to be able to speak to this, and I'll just circle back to that in a moment. But even if your children are going to public schools, even if they're going to these private schools, I have parents sending me the material, folks. It is unreal. You got to be on top of what they are teaching your children. You are not going to be able to just say, oh, well, he'll or she'll figure it out. No, they're not. They're going to figure out how to hate you. They're going to figure out how to hate our people. These are powerful poisons that the anti-whites have created. Now, what I want to do, Brant has also done, just like Lovely Porridge has done, I think next week I want to play one of these new ones that Lovely Porridge has done. This is the Meet Your People. And Brant did the edition for America. Meet Your People in America. So what I'd like to do, Brant, if I could, I'd like to play that right now. And then while it's playing, drop off and try to come back in. Maybe shut off if you have any other software that's pulling data right now, for example, like some sort of like Defender software for spyware, that sort of thing. If it's working right now, shut it off so to free up some of your bandwidth. This is about 5 minutes, folks, and then we'll have Brant back and we'll finish up with everything that he wanted to share with you, because this is too exciting to try to pick out the best pieces and have me say it. It's just it's not worth it. And we'll have you right back after that, folks. So hold tight. Right now, we're going to play Brant Danger and his Meet Your People America edition.
Western kind are one people with many nations, and one of those nations is the United States of America. Because America is such a large country, it has amazing natural features such as deserts, canyons, beaches, plains, rivers, lakes, forests, mountains, volcanoes, glaciers, and even a meteor crater. Amazingly, America has animals that like hot weather, like alligators, rattlesnakes, armadillos, and road runners. And at the same time, it also has animals that prefer cold weather, such as wolverines, bison, moose, and grizzly bears. And we can't forget about the bald eagle, which can live in hot or cold places. America has amazing animals. But the most amazing thing of all in America is Americans. Americans enjoy playing football, hunting, fishing, hiking, and in the state called Alaska, they even have a dog sled race called the Iditarod that goes for 1,000 miles. When Americans are hungry, they love to eat hamburgers, hot dogs, or pizza, either with vegetables or with lots of meat. And for a sweet dessert, nothing beats an ice cream cone. America was made by Westmen with an adventurous spirit. It's easiest to see this spirit in the Americans known as cowboys. In the middle of the 1800s, cowboys were men that drove large herds of cattle from the state called Texas up to other states that had the railroad. The lifestyle of the cowboy was full of hard work, but came with a sense of freedom and adventure. Cowboys learned many skills while working with the horses and cattle. They began to compete with each other for fun, to show who had the best skills. This friendly competition is now what we call rodeo, and it includes the events of bronc riding, barrel racing, calf roping, and the dangerous bull riding. Cowboys would play music on their long cattle drives, and it was called Western music. The most famous singer of this music was Roy Rogers. He was also an actor in Western movies, and he was very good at riding horses. His favorite horse was called Trigger, who was a horse that knew a lot of tricks and starred in many movies with Roy Rogers. Later on, the two biggest stars of the Western movies were John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. No one had a more Western spirit, though, than Charles Lindbergh. From the time he was a boy, he was interested in flying airplanes. When he grew up in the 1920s, he did exciting stunts in airplanes for people to watch. One day he heard about a prize he could win if he could fly all the way across the Atlantic Ocean without any help from anybody else. So he spent all his money to build an airplane that could fly that far. And in 1927, in his new plane, he took off from New York City and flew all the way across the Atlantic Ocean until he landed in Paris, France. It took him 33 and a half hours. He flew through clouds, he flew in the dark, he flew right above the ocean waves, and he even flew while he was asleep. When he landed in Paris, thousands of people rushed to see him and his airplane. When people around the world heard what he did, he became the most famous person in the world. He was an example of the adventurous spirit of Western kind, and he inspired boys and girls to learn how to fly, including the great Amelia Earhart. Americans are not only adventurous, but they're also a friendly people, because just like you, they are Western kind and share the same biospirit that made all our nations great. Americans are your people.
And we are back, folks. That was the magnificent video by the gentleman that you see. We're going to see if we can do the camera again, but that was the magnificent video that Brand did. I really wanted to share that. He and Porridge, what epic champions they are. But, brother, let's see if we can hear you okay now.
All right. How does this sound?
So far, so good, brother.
Not robot. Okay. All right. So to show that video, one of the things I want to say is that when we teach white well-being to kids, it doesn't necessarily be here's this and here's all propaganda and what do we do with that. It can be a gentle introduction into their ancestors and to their people around the planet. It's something that's been cut off in public schools, so we're just going to, reconnect that. And then also, there's plenty of material both out in the real world and material that some people working on how to put together that I can reference for the older kids to start to move up the ladder of what that white propaganda looks like. And we start introducing the vocabulary at each level that's appropriate for the children, so they learn that vocabulary. They can talk about what they see right there, and then later on we learn more vocabulary and we talk about bigger concepts and we keep working our way up. So as I said before, the white well-being, it'll be inherent in the lessons themselves, just subtle. And then when I have a class explicit in it, then we're going to study it like it's its own subject. And also, if you think about it, the reason that we have public schools is to prepare kids going out into the more access I have now, caves and farms. We have technology, we have white children, Western kind, they're not prepared to go out to the really real world because they're not ready for that anti-white propaganda. And in fact, they're getting hit with it when they're in public school. So we want to take them out of that anti-white environment, give them the tools, give them the verbal tools and the psychological tools, and that's going to be part of the preparation that we're going to need moving forward. Did that come through okay?
Yeah, it sure did. And I'm going to reiterate for folks too, because this is one of the things that Brandt's talking about here. You have to speak in education. And I had no idea about this, and Brandt has explained this to me completely. I was completely ignorant of this. But you have to speak each level of the education for children in a very specific way so that they are able to take for example, the lexicon, which is what we're talking about here of Going Free, and then be able to use it in their lives, be able to understand. So the concepts are delivered to your children based on their age, based on their ability to really comprehend those concepts. And of course, some children are going to be a little bit more advanced at times. Some children are going to be a little less advanced, but delivered to them in a way that they can immediately make use of it, that it immediately inoculates them against the anti-whiteism that they're going to experience in the world, even if they're homeschooled. And I think this is one of the main and most important things that is done with School of the West, is that there are a lot of people out there that think that you are going to be able to just have your kids at home and you're going to be able to just homeschool them and you'll just be able to teach them maybe about some lore from some specific part of European history or something, and tell your kids, well, be proud of that. And then they're going to end up fine. Well, they don't end up fine. And we know that because there's a long history. First of all, we know it from reason, logic, and logic, but we also have the evidence because there is a history of people who have kept their kids home, who have taught their kids only to be proud of this European heritage, whatever it might be. And yet those kids end up growing up and hating their parents, hating Western kind, hating Western civilization. And that happens because they have to go be in the real world. So they need to be inoculated. And each step of that in their ability to comprehend and conceptualize is important because they are going to be exposed at all of these levels. And the earlier the exposure to anti-whiteism, the more deeply it's rooted and the more it is a part of their identity, harder and harder to get away from it. So this is extremely important work that is being done here by Brandt and all of the champions at School of the West. And please, folks, again, schoolofthewest.world. We would have it up right now, but having a bandwidth issue. But schoolofthewest.world, pull it up, look at it for yourself. It is magnificent. Use it. Make use of these tools that Brandt and others are putting together. Make use of his particular services where you need that help. If you need a tutor for your child or children, this is the guy. He's one of the guys. He's one of the main guys in service to White Wellbeing. He's in our community. This is where you want to give your money. You don't want to give it to some tutor who knows what they're going and doing with the money. Who knows what they're going and doing with their time? Who knows how anti-white they actually are? Who knows what they might take some of your funds and invest in? This guy's going to be obviously continuing to build School of the West as he's been on this track for a very long time now. We look forward to much more. But I pass it back over to you, brother.
What do I have to say after that? Yeah, one of the things that I would like to do, if you would grant me like a minute and a half, I would like to go through a list of names of people that have helped.
Yes.
From the beginning, and I haven't on air thanked any of them yet. So I would like to do that now.
Yes, please do, sir. Okay.
So I'd like to thank John Malt, who's been with me from the beginning. He writes for White People's Quarterly. He's put together propaganda videos. He's put together Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 lessons, geometry, trigonometry, and calculus. So a lot of this isn't even on the website yet because I'm still uploading it. It just takes a lot of time to put everything together. But the cool thing about the site is that you're going to be able to work on math from kindergarten level all the way to calculus on the website. It's all going to be free material. And I might be able to wrangle him into doing some online tutoring as well for higher math if that's needed. I want to thank Lovely Porridge for the Meet Your People series. I want to thank Luke Mason for something that he's working on right now, and any music that I steal from him. I want to thank Hans Hugren for the Viking series, Joseph Montag for the Great Westman series, Iberian Writer for the Intro into Programming and Electronics. I want to thank Theodore Miner for physics and Python programming. The Python programming is not on there yet. Fraulein Dresden for I'll be putting together. Mrs. Eliza for her Race Differences series. Louise Silvers for the Outrage book study. Jamie Carrolls for tons of elementary math and ELA lessons. Althea Promethea for her White Wellbeing material. Final Blossom for video and audio material that he has given to me. The Van Buskirks for the schooling regulation that they're working on. And I am thanking you in advance for when you get the rest of that to me. No pressure. Intellectual Embargo and Devin Stack, I want to thank those guys for letting me link to their videos. Thank Yiz and Donald Kent for putting me on their show so I can talk about this. I want to thank For Null and Jack White for use of their music. Thank Roy Danton for giving me the credits so that I could start uploading videos on Library, and Western Cotton Games for letting me link to their site, and others that have already donated some time, donated some money to the site, and people that are working right now. So thanks to all the people.
You got through them all, brother. That was fantastic. You went robotic right at the very end, right when you were wrapping up. You went robotic. That is splendid. Thank God you made it. That is awesome. Folks, let's get a massive, raucous round of emojis for every single person who has participated in the creation and the continued maintenance and building of School of the West. We are building something magnificent here, and the spirit of the West is in us when we do something so beautiful. And you know then that we will achieve things that heretofore were believed to be impossible. You need to put yourself in the driver's seat with the love for our people and our future, and that spirit of the West will well up inside of you and will help you go over that finish line. It'll take you that extra mile, and that's what we're seeing here with School of the West. Brother, it is truly epic and magnificent to have you on, and I thank you so very much for everything you are doing in service to White Wellbeing. This service here, I mean, you're a moderator, and we talk as well behind the scenes, and you work on School of the West. This is truly something beautiful. So many hearts. I swear, sometimes the things that wet my eyes the most are when I know that our babies, our children, are being inoculated against anti-whiteism, and they're feeling proud of who and what they are instead of hating themselves like we were taught to hate ourselves. And they're feeling a connection to our brothers and sisters all around the world. This is what we need. The hour has come, and the heroes have come. Brother, any final words you have today? And we'll have you back much sooner than we did between this time and the previous time. But please, what else do you have to leave with us? And then we will let you go for today.
Well, when you talk like
completely, we just completely lost. Try to shut off your camera so we can get your final thought.
Okay. Hang on.
There we go. Now go ahead and try that again.
I said, do you want me to talk like a human or a robot? But I guess the joke is on me. The school is going to keep growing, and I have some more material there. I'm sure that there will be times in the future where I think it's appropriate to show off something that someone has worked on, or talk about the success of the online lessons. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is that when people are signing up for the lessons, one of the things I'm going to do probably about once a month is have a community chat where any students who want to be involved, and their parents, anyone who's working on the site, and myself, we can get together and we can talk about the direction of the school, what they like about it, what they don't like about it, what do they want added. and give them a way to communicate with each other so they can start to build a community and they don't feel completely isolated, and have people feel like we're more of a family and we're not just disparate individuals out there learning just on our own. So that's one thing that I want to mention. That's all.
Well, that sounds another constructive way, and it's a way for folks to be able to work together and build these relationships as well that is so important. It's just like you said, we're not a bunch of just disparate cogs atomized out in the world. We're a community, and this is every bit as real as a bunch of people living in some town here or there across the West. But in fact, it's far stronger than that, because the best of all the towns of all the way around the West are able to come together, and all these far-flung places, very difficult for the anti-whites to shut that down. They just sit there and shake in their boots, as the saying goes here in the United States. But brother, we love you. Thank you so very much for coming on, and we will have you back very soon. Folks, big raucous round of emojis for the one and only Brant, the Dean of School of the West. All right, brother. We'll talk soon. Promethean Hales.
Okay, see you in the chat, Promethean Hales.
So in the anti-white narrative, what's happening? In the anti-white narrative, the anti-white slur of racist and racism is always on the rise. In the anti-white narrative, anti-Semitism is always on the rise. So we need to not speak in terms, and that's what we talk about with the dialectics and lexicon of going free, not speak in the terms that the anti-whites speak, so as to take them out of this narrative. In that narrative, an anti-white or a vague who is villainy signaling to everyone around them, those people are the good guys. They are the protagonists in that story. And so they really feel themselves to be riding in on a white horse and slaying this white dragon that has to be slain again and again and again. So what we do is we turn this dialectic around. We turn this argument around. We turn this conversation around by refusing to speak in their verbiage. And that includes refusing to allow them to say things like racist, stopping them in their tracks and saying, you're not going to use that anti-white slur around me. We can talk about the subject, but you're not going to use anti-white slurs. And to phrase things in such a way that the anti-white is forced to take the position of the bad guy. Now, they won't say outwardly, you'll know when it happens. You'll see it on their faces. When they realize that they have to convince you that you should be white guilted, that you should be victimized, you will see on them that realization that they are no longer emboldened by being able to be the hero in this story, but instead they are, in fact, the malefactor. They are the antagonist in a story that, folks, we are writing. We hold the pen in this story. The only way we are going to save ourselves is to write our own narrative where we are the heroes, we are the good guys, we are the ones who have the glorious past and a glorious destiny that we're going to recapture. If we stay on their pages in the anti-white narrative, there isn't a good conclusion for us. It is sanguinary, because you cannot make amends for a grievance you never committed. And that's what happens. That's where this started for me, and I'll pass it right back, is when I was in junior high school. And I said to my friends, this realization, this epiphany hit me sitting in the lunchroom. I can remember the day as though it's right now. I said to my friends sitting at the table, I said, look, this is just a story. The white children that were at this junior high school, 11 to 13 years of age, two grade years, Those children were the bad guys in that story. They were the inheritors of this awful evil from the past that they had to wrap, this shroud they had to wear as penance and making amends, ever kissing the feet of the non-whites around them. Today, we are the bad guys at this junior high school because we are the white students. In the future, the white kids who will be here then, they will be the bad guys at this school. There's no making amends for a grievance that you never committed. It's a position in a story that we are being subjected to, and then we allow them to force us into that role. So this is why I say, and as I say, I'll pass it back. This is why I say, never don the implements, the vocabulary, the emblems, etc., that they have given, the anti-whites have given to the antagonists in their story. So that this particular verbiage that they give you to use, it's like, as I phrased it, it's like you decide you want to support white well-being. And then what do most people do? They look around in the world and they say, well, what does an advocate for white well-being or white positivity look like? Well, in the anti-white narrative, they have these symbols, they talk with this vernacular, they support this kind of government, this kind of economy. It's like they go to anti-white theater and they go into the dressing room and they say, well, what kind of clothes do I have to wear if I'm going to oppose anti-whiteism? What kind of vocabulary do I have to use if I'm going to oppose anti-whiteism? You don't do that, ladies and gentlemen, because not because you're going to appease the anti-whites or somehow placate them. It's not about them. You'll never placate them. If you get in the way of anti-whiteism, they're going to steamroll you. They're going to attack you. This is all about our brothers and sisters out there, the vagues, who they're living their life by the anti-white narrative. So if you don the vocabulary, the clothing, the symbols of the antagonist in that story, they will see you as the bad guy, and all the attendant stories, the movies, the books they've read where these people are punishing the innocent non-white child and all of this, they will think that that is they will associate that with you. They will think that that's what you represent. We decide what it looks like to look like an advocate for white well-being. We decide what vocabulary we use. Never give in to the anti-whites. So when they come in, they want to use the vocabulary that's used for the villain. They want to use things like hater, bigot, chauvinist, racist, anti-Semite, these sorts of things. You immediately call that down as an anti-white slur. So no, do not use anti-white slurs with me. If we can have a discussion about this, and this is what's important, I guess also, we have to make a distinction. And that is that you don't want to waste your time with someone who is not potentially going to start going free, who's not potentially going to come over to the service of white well-being, to the white positive sphere. If you come up against a person who is vehemently anti-white, break off your conversation with them, say, thank you, have a nice day, thank you for letting me know how much you hate Western kind, how much harm you want to inflict, and move on to someone who can potentially hear what you have to say. So that means you have an audience that is a potential convert to their own salvation, their own redemption. We just had I had a woman reach out to me. She went to she's going free, learning the dialectics and vocabulary. She went to a family party. She had a conversation with I guess it was an uncle, and he tried to use some anti-white vocabulary with her, some of these anti-Semite or whatever it might be. She stopped him from saying this. No, those are anti-white slurs. I'd like to talk about this with you, but we're not going to use these anti-white slurs. You know, don't slander me with these anti-white slurs. Immediately refielding that conversation and then being able to talk about these subjects. So the issue is that the anti-white elites, they have sophisticated, brilliant people who, and make no mistake, when it comes to warfare, the most powerful element of warfare is not the bombs that drop, but it's the psychological warfare. It's these manipulative tools. So they want to engage you. They want to get you roped into these conversations about why don't you want to bring in the third world into your country? What are you, some sort of hater? You want to turn the conversation into, why do you want to destroy Western civilization? Why do you want white people to have a hard time of getting jobs, protecting their children? You want them backpedaling, defending themselves because they're trying to say, oh, I'm not anti-white. Really, let me tell you all the reasons why. When you get them to that point, you are in a good place. If they don't want to go there, then you're like a salesperson. What is it? We said this before. What is the most important thing as a salesperson that you can potentially know about a prospect? And that is, whether or not that prospect is a potential customer. If you know that prospect will never buy what you're selling, then that is the best information you can have, because you can move on. We have hundreds of millions of our brothers and sisters out there with absolutely normal sensibilities like ours that are willing to listen, and every day they are more willing to listen. So in short, to answer your question, it is about refielding and not going into their dialectics, not going into their conversations, because you cannot win there. Those dialectics are specifically crafted for you to lose. That's why the conservatives, the nationalists, etc., they never win these conversations. They go away. Sometimes they try to pat each other on the back, trying to say, oh, you did a great job. You actually showed them there. But they deep down, they feel like they lost, and they know it. And so many of the folks who have come to serve White Wellbeing, they were there. And now they come back and they say, wow, I'm using these dialectics and this vocabulary, and I'm actually winning these conversations for the first time in my life. So that is what I would say. You strip them of the vocabulary, snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat, and you take it from them, and that's how you win the day. That was magnificent. All of that. Brant being on and talking about School of the West and dealing with a bandwidth issue and still making it happen. Magnificent, folks. And then, of course, we had Matthew Drake's illustration there, a classic, a timeless classic. And hope he's doing great. If you know how he is, please tell him hello. If you speak to him regularly, please tell him hello for us. I'm going to really quickly take a look at what you all are saying, and remember to tag me, take a look for any financial gifts, and address those first. Of course, we never let any of those go by without addressing those questions or comments. And then we're going to get into very quickly the Go Free lesson of the day, some announcements, the content creator for today that we're going to share, and what else we have? The mailbag, and whatever you all have here in the live chats, and then we'll be taking off. And this, of course, is the groundhog. He has joined us. He has joined us for the remainder of the show, per the request of our very own Rory. And we're going to be jumping right back into entropy right now. And a big hello to everybody. Loki is here, and so many great champions. I also want to open up today, since yesterday, of course, was the 20th anniversary of the attack on September 11. If anybody would like to share or their experience or what they think is going on now, of course, you keep it white positive. Or if you have any questions for me, I'd like to address those because it can be a very challenging time for a lot of people, emotionally challenging. And please, let's speak up. Let's be that community for each other that we are. We have the great Yiz the Eunuch, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get the raucous emojis going. Financially gifting $25 US. God bless you, sister. And she writes, it's been a while since I've been able to be here on Sundays, so here's a catch up of weekly folk tithes. Oh, thank you so much, sister. I love all of you and encourage you all to keep heart and speak to the truth to all who will hear it. Be the hero you want to see in the world. A future for our people depends on you, Kip. And she leaves us with a little white heart emoji and a little flame. Thank you so much, dear sister. Keep it Promethean indeed. It's all about white positivity, love, hope, and redemption. And everyone of all immutable characteristics, every one of all immutable characteristics are welcomed and encouraged to join us in our effort to put an end to anti-Whiteism, which is inflicting grievous injury and has been for a long time on Western kind and therefore Western civilization. All of us, irrespective of our immutable characteristics, need Western civilization to remain Western, to remain what it was, is, in places still. We need these things because we have come to love and depend on them for things that we take for granted, like rule of law and freedom to voice our views. All of this is being eroded, including the right to self-defense. Please speak up. Please join us, and we welcome you. Thank you so much, Yiz. Yiz is a great example of the kind of person who is going out there and making it happen, the kind of person which is the reason why we see anti-whites adopting our story when they have to speak to us now. And God, doesn't that make you feel good? Doesn't that make you feel good? Instead of you having to crawl into their story as their villain and be this nasty bad guy in their story, this immoral wretch, and you try to defend your well-being, and you walk away from there feeling immoral as a consequence. You don't have to feel that way anymore. You can go free. You can be white positive. We welcome you here. God bless every single one of you. Folks, be like Yiz, force of nature. Thank you, sister. $25. Be like Brant, force of nature, making it happen. We're going to make sure that we get all of the information that he wanted to share with you all about School of the West. If you had a hard time catching any of it, I tried to restate much of it. If you had a hard time catching any of it, we'll try to get something together for you all, and to make sure that you are aware. Brant himself is going to be offering classes himself. There's going to be 2-tier of opportunity there. You can retain Brant from School of the West, Dean of School of the West. You can retain him for mathematics and what was the ESL was the acronym, and for general classes where it's going to be to everybody can participate at one time, and then even solo classes as well. If you're going to hire somebody for tutoring for one of these areas, make sure it's Brant. And please do, if you can help the work that's being done there, please do throw in with that mighty group of people. Let's not sectarianize. Don't go try to build something that's unique, that's just for your nation, because this is how, just for your country, because we've already been beaten with nationalism. We need to be a single people with many countries. So School of the West is for children all the way around the world. It's not just for kids in America. You don't need, like, for example, a Canadian version of School of the West. We just need to make School of the West as big and mighty of an oak as it can possibly be. Let's work together to make that. We can do it. We can do it. We have to come together. We are doing it. God bless you, everybody who's participating, everybody Brant named. And even if there's some that couldn't be named. The great Rory is back with another $3 financial gift. Thank you, brother. My sister-in-law lived on Fulton Street in Manhattan, 4 blocks away from the Twin Towers. She witnessed them fall, oh my God, from her balcony, until there was so much dust and debris that she had to go inside. Wow. How horrifying. How absolutely horrifying. Surely, folks, somebody who is this close, they don't know. You're not hearing the story of somebody who just has like a front row seat. It's not a movie. You don't know if you're next, if it's going to be your building next, or the buildings beside you, and it all pushed inside into your building. The fear of life is there. Heart goes out to her. Thank you for sharing that, brother. Rory Herbert. Joseph financially gifting $25 US. Big round of August emojis for Joseph, a true champion in service to white well-being. Thank you, dear brother. And he says here, nice to see what Brant looks like IRL. Indeed, we are all healthy, normal, just ordinary white folk. And that is what we project, who and what we truly are in our hearts, in our physical forms, to our brothers and sisters, because we need ordinary Western kind to come to us for their own benefit, for our benefit, as a people, as individuals. So you're not going to find the Hollywood stereotypes here. They make those ugly characters on fetid little streets in Hollywood and elsewhere, and then very low IQ people then imitate them, and they stay with it, even though they've heard that there is a truth, light, hope, and redemption by way of going free, and they stay in that environment. Can you imagine? But thank you so much, brother. $25 by Joseph. And we, by the way, folks, we are the folks in the white positive sphere come in just about every variety. Some of us are heavy, some of us are thin, some of us are muscular, some of us are muscle-less, some of us are in wheelchairs, some of us are master athletes, some of us, it's all variety of Westmen, men and women, are here in service to white well-being, and all champions. Let's get a big, raucous round of emojis going for the one and only Iraq Syndrome, who financially gifted $120 to White Wellbeing. $120. God bless you, brother. Thank you so very much. And he says, may this dollar sign go 10,000-fold. I've just reaffirmed something. We will succeed. However long it takes, no matter the odds, no matter who wishes our downfall, we will reach our people and our children with this righteous spirit of survival and well-being. Thanks to everyone here who never gives up, building a future for us. Shout out to Brant and everyone working on School of the West. Well, God bless you, brother. What a magnificent testimonial that verbiage is right there. It's fantastically written. And that is the kind of energy that we produce here. That is the type of positivity that we produce in service to white well-being. We are having the huge successes because of things like that. God bless you, brother. God bless you for your $120 financial gift. And yes, indeed, that you just, with that verbiage, you made it go 10,000-fold, that $120. God bless you. Iraq Syndrome, ladies and gentlemen. Let me swivel around to here. We'll have a quick look. We'll check Odysee and see if anybody decided, nope, we're good and blank there. Now we'll check Cash App. We will reload that, and I will have a quick look back through your comments and see how you all are doing, and if there are any questions, any statements that I need to catch. But before I get to those, I'm going to get to Art Acrobats, right? Art Acrobats, $14.14. God bless you, brother. And he writes, we should never apologize for our nobility and greatness. Amen to that. No, we should take great pride in our nobility and greatness. Make sure every child learns. Every child learns of it. God bless you. Thank you so much. A great champion he is. Promethean Healing is here, ladies and gentlemen. And let's see, who else do we have here? Looks like we've had, and it was predictable. Actually, I predicted last night that we would have. Hello, Timmy is with us. Hail NWG, he writes. I predicted last night that we would have some anti-whites and ant-nat types showing up and trying to cause disruption. Little sticks, all of them. Very little sticks. Midget wits as well. And the great moderators are taking care of these people who are not welcomed in this community. And those out there who want to give up the ugliness of anti-whiteism, those out there who want to give up the ugliness of the antagonist role in the anti-white narrative, we welcome you to come away from that, to go free, to be a better person, to learn to love. Stop hating those other groups of mankind. Learn to love our people and put your foot down when it comes to harming our most vulnerable members. That's what matters. And let's get a round of raucous emojis for the moderators tonight. Ray and Naderific and Brandt, and whoever else is with us moderating today, because they are keeping the trouble at outside the door. They're keeping us safe in here so that we can grow a community that will do great things. And I'm going to tell you what, we will be the ones who are going to write the history books about the reclamation of our destiny. And we're not going to have nice things to say about these villain types who slither up out of the wilderness and want to try to burn down all the good that we are doing. Doesn't it tell you everything you need to know about a person and about a movement, about a group, about a channel, about a cause, about a whatever it might be? Doesn't it tell you everything you need to know if they claim to be white sympathetic in some way, and then they endeavor with all their time and just venom and vile to burn down what's doing the most good for Western kind? Doesn't it tell you everything you need to know about them? So we invite those who have found themselves enmeshed in those environments, because if you can go wrong, we say here in Going Free that you can go right. And we welcome you to come away from that. Please do, the best will, and start going free. And we want to see you at your very best. You will get better than you have ever been, just as so many in service to white well-being have improved physically, mentally, and spiritually by treating themselves for those thought diseases, the mean pathogens that we have all been infected with. Trust me, you're not going to become a better person by embracing the antagonist role in somebody else's story, by being their villain, by being their most ugly character in their story. You're not scary, you're just pathetic. And it's like I've said before, it's like when you're just like a streetwalker. You're standing on the corner, the pink Cadillac or whatever it is pulls up, the pimp pulls up, gets out, and gives you a couple slaps across the face. And that's anti-whiteism there. And they're saying, do this, do that. And then they just bend right over and do it. So there's nothing scary about you. You're just pathetic. So thank God for all these wonderful people who are doing what's right. Anglo-Saxon is here. Great to see you. The great Final Blossom is here. And we're going to be talking about Final Blossom in a moment with the announcements. And Southern Bloom, hello to you, is here. Sebastian is here. Great to see you. And still sliding through, we will refresh over here one more time. Harbinger asks, thoughts on Biden forcing us all to take his jab and pushing governors aside if needed. Well, that hasn't happened yet. And remember that I have been 3 decades in the white sympathetic sphere, nearly 3 decades. And the stories of imminent this or imminent that has always been on the lips of people. And so I don't, this effort, this executive order to try to force employers of 100 or more or whatever it might be, of course, check with CNN to make sure that I'm right here. Arminius is here. Great to see you. Many are saying that this is, legal scholars are saying that this is, of course, illegal. And we shall see what it comes out to be, how it shakes out. But there, of course, are going to be many legal challenges. And the thing that I would really point you to with something like this is, first of all, the sign of desperation. You should be able to read the sign of desperation on the faces of these anti-whites who are endeavoring to do things to victimize a pool of people that is simply too wide, that includes even anti-whites. And many of those folks, and with these different endeavors, I'm not specifically talking about the jab, because of course we agree with everything the CDC says and the World Health Organization. Even when they disagree, we still agree with both of them. But you can see the sign of desperation with the desire to control more and more of your life on their faces, in their words, in their actions. And so you should take heart in that. So I don't see this as yet as something that is, as I used to joke about the fast roping, the troops fast roping down into your yard, and then they run up to give you a hug because they have needles pointing out of them in all directions like a porcupine. I don't see that happening. But keep your eyes open, and let's stay abreast. Let's keep each other educated on the au courant, as they say, on the subject. Loki says, "Good day, mate. Slept in." Well, it's very early down under, but we're glad to have you. So thank you. I don't know what you consider sleeping in, past 6 a.m. Wonderful to see you. Our people are self-starters. American Chestnut says, Karlin Borisenko, School of the Out of Breath. That's good. Yes, we roasted her. We should do another roast, shouldn't we? How about this woman? What's her name? The one who wrote White Fragility. I was thinking about potentially roasting her. She seems to deserve it, doesn't she? Yonash says, when 9/11 happened, I still had 11 days to be born. Sometimes I wonder what the world was like before the event. I've never experienced it. It truly was a defining moment in our history. Yeah. It like Pearl Harbor for those of that era. Amber is here. Hello to you and welcome. It really was a defining moment. Jilly is with us. Hello, Jilly. She writes, white people don't blame Arab children for 9/11. Yeah. Isn't that true? Because we as Western kind are noble. Very well written. That's right. If we were like the anti-whites, then, well, we'll say it this way. If there was a group of white people out there who were like the anti-whites, they would be running around blaming first graders who also happen to be Arab for 9/11. But that doesn't happen, does it? Because as Jilly said, we're noble. Western kind is noble. Anti-whites, though, blame all the first graders who happen to be white for anything that white individuals did or anything they fantasized that white individuals did or are responsible for or wholly responsible for. That's anti-whiteism. You can't escape it unless you get out of their story. The great Jerome V writes here, you have a hero contributing over on Entropy. Yeah, plenty of heroes. God bless you all. Thank you so very much for that. And thank you, Jerome, for all of your service to White Wellbeing. That wasn't you, was it, Jerome? Under a different name over on Entropy? I don't think it can. I don't think you can do that. Art Acrobat says, when you harm one of us, you harm all of us. When you help one of us, you help all of us. We are an unbreakable band of brothers and sisters. Amen. Very well written. I love that. Exactly. You harm one of us, you're harming all of us. You help one of us, you're helping all of us. God bless you, brother. Thank you for that. Yes, and we come to the defense of each other. We don't just stand by and watch as somebody gets attacked. Artificer is here. Hello to you. Blue Eyes Only writes, should brown-eyed people... Really? This is going to be a real question? Is this going to be a real question? Should brown-eyed white men be forced not to date? Oh, for the love of God. That's not a real question. If that's a real question, please go get Go Free. Get Go Free and then come back, and that's a very... I hope that's not a serious question. I hope you're ribbing me, as we sometimes say. Folks, we're going to take a quick look because we're talking about School of the West. And so for the Going Free lesson of the day, I want to read a little bit out of, this is second edition, iteration 1. I'm so excited. Iteration 2 is almost done. So we will have that available for you very soon. But we're talking about our children. We're talking about School of the West. The effects on white children. This is on page 96. You may feel embarrassed to realize we have been tricked into acting in ways harmful to ourselves, our countries, and our people. As adults, we like to think of ourselves as tough, independent, and resistant to manipulation. Does that sounds like so many of us, especially those tough guys, right? The tough guys that actually don't, the only thing they know how to do is shotgun a beer really well. Recall again the vignettes about the children, Buddy, Smith, Tommy, and Lily. A white child's view of himself, his kind, and every other group of people is taught to him, imposed on him by anti-whites. Now, you can't, I'm going to move my groundhog so we can still see his lovely face. He can participate. You are not going to be able to keep your kids when when you go out into the world. They're going to be able to see the signage, aren't they? They're going to be able to see the different sort of art graphics they put on T-shirts, on backpacks, on mugs, etc. They're going to see these things. They're going to have the anti-white narrative imposed on them. You have to inoculate them. It is not enough. And remember again, I not only made the point about the people homeschooling and teaching about, which is a wonderful thing, about European traditions, and be proud of them. Be proud, damn it. And then they go out into the world and they end up hating Western kind. It's happened in the groups. It's happened in the religious groups of all types. It's happened in religious groups where they thought, they could just do this and everything will be okay. It's not going to be okay. It hasn't been okay. In fact, if you are Christian, Catholic, or pagan, people have already failed at what you think is going to work. So forget about it. But you also have the issue of America just prior to the 1960s was almost entirely white. And you had a very healthy white population, and they were able to do to them what they have done to us. So we're here now. What was the difference? They had lots of pride in our history, our heritage, etc. What was missing? What was missing was the psychological defense for the psychological warfare that they have been waging. Well, now we have the psychological defense. The anti-white worldview is a crippling and disfiguring power which compromises the physical, mental, and spiritual health of all white children. The timing of this abusive indoctrination is particularly destructive because the minds of white children are still forming, making children the most vulnerable to the devastating effects of anti-whiteism. The lies and the manipulations of anti-whiteism disfigure their thought processes and their deductive and logical reasoning abilities. I mean, they physically, you all, I'm sure, have heard this before, that when you think something enough, the brain physically changes to facilitate that thought pattern. So their actual abilities to think logically and come to reasonable deductions is crippled because they are taught to believe things that contradict what they are seeing in the world. Their white noir can present as any number of physical diseases and psychiatric disorders. What are we seeing with the medications for psychiatric disorders? We see the amount each year spent on that going through the stratosphere. These are a great many white people who are suffering from such cognitive dissonance, such self-hate, that they have gone insane. And this is not even to speak of the ones who are already susceptible to being mentally unstable, for God's sake. When I write of white children, I mean all white children. No child escapes MP infection, no matter the child or the upbringing. You may think that you are an exception because of your conservative or religious upbringing. Sadly, you are wrong. No child escapes the abuse of anti-whiteism and MPs in modernity. A white positive woman named Mary illustrates this fact. And then I go into this story, and I want you to dig into this, folks. I want you to find out exactly how deeply infected you are with mean pathogens. And then I want you to treat yourself for those mean pathogens. That's the only way to get better. That's what we teach in Go Free. It's a very simple practice. And the more you implement it, and people will tell you, we have so many testimonials, the more you implement the practice, the better you will, the healthier you will become. I have these people tell me all the time that they don't have any MPs. They've already gone free. There is no gone free. That never happens in a person's life. Anybody saying that is ignorant of the reality of their condition, or they're drunk with a hubristic selfishness, and I'm sure they think they do everything else perfectly as well. We've all met people like that, and they couldn't be further from perfect. Those who think and act like they are perfect. No, we have to admit that we are infected, with these anti-white thought diseases, mean pathogens is what we call them, to even begin going free of them. And it's all about creating counter triggers. And I do this little test from time to time. There are various ways I implement it when I talk to people who say, oh, I've gone free. I don't need that. I've got something else working for me. And so therefore I'm already free of all of these ideas. I'm not, I don't feel guilty. I don't feel white guilt. And then I will simply ask some questions. I usually do the first sentence that comes to mind or first word that comes to mind when I say, and I do this experiment on them. And it is amazing every time how stutteringly they proceed, how clumsily they proceed, illustrating firsthand that they are nowhere close to being infection-free, because you can't be. The only way you could be infection-free of mean pathogens is to be so brain dead that you could not have recorded anything from life. Nothing. You could not remember anything from life. It's all just disappeared. No, these things pass into your subconscious mind. They are there. And you find, as Mary did, of course, that's not her real name, but you find, as she did, she's just one of many, that the more you dig, the more self-reflection you do, the more honesty you have with yourself, the sooner you discover, oh my gosh, I actually did. Once I dug through all of that garbage, all of that like defensive wall building that I put up to protect that really hurt spot inside of me where I really hated our people, all that bulwark that I built, once I dug through all of that, I saw that, geez, I was this hurt child in there that wasn't dealing with this trauma that I experienced in life. So when you were a child, and let me also tell you this. Well, when you were a child, you couldn't defend yourself. You couldn't. You believed there was an Easter bunny. And of course, for all the kids listening right now, there is an Easter bunny. But you believed a lot of things when you were a child. So you also believed the things the anti-whites told you. And not only that, but when your parents tried to get in the way, when they tried to help you out some, they were in some way using verbiage that the anti-whites gave them to use. Things like call those people out there do-gooders, or they were using the verbiage of the villain. And then you end up, if that's your defense, and I have demonstrated that with folks in conversation. If that's your defense, you are a very ugly and miserable and unhappy person. And it's just time and again, folks, I've seen these people go down these paths, and you know them at first sight. I know them instantly. I know what their yard looks like, where they live. I know what how filthy their cars are. I know they're such a caricature. It's just their abuses of substances. Come away from that, go free, be the best that you can be with the time that you are given, that God has given you. Leave a mark on this world of love, so that good people will remember who you were. And also, make no mistake, there's no villain out there that is no bad guy in anybody's story that is as brave or as heroic in physical combat as somebody who is there for love. You have no chance. You have no chance against somebody. You are nothing compared to them. You are somebody out there who's there to just because they hate someone else or whatever it might be. You are pathetic, and you will be steamrolled by those like us who are defenders, who love and are putting an end to anti-whiteism. So let me move on. And when it comes to, I want to tie together quickly as we are now at 7:30, be wrapping up by 8 p.m. Eastern time. Absolutely. But I want to say, I'll get your comments and questions in if you have any more. But I want to tie together 9/11, 20 years. And Jonas is really putting an underscore on this because there are millions and millions of our white children who their world is shaped by this event. And it is becoming, by each of these, sort of, I guess, salient dates in the history of an event, becoming more and more of a part of the religion that is within anti-white narrative, that is within anti-whiteism. So we have to teach our children when it comes to things like 9/11. There are a lot of other theories about what actually happened and who was actually behind it. And of course, we agree with everything that is the official narrative that the government shares with us wholeheartedly here. But make sure you get your views elsewhere. But there are a lot of views out there about who was behind it and this sort of thing. Make sure that when you're speaking with this is the most important thing to remember. If I can convey anything, if I can do any good for the terrible images that I have to endure every September 11, and particularly this one, is this. Make sure when you tell our babies about September 11 that you are talking about our people being harmed and not hating on some other group or groups or whatever it is. Make sure you're telling them about how we have to defend ourselves, how there are people out there that we identify them as anti-white when they, by their actions and words, behave in an anti-white way, how we are righteous and moral when we defend ourselves against them. We are as glorious, and you can pick any period in history, your child's favorite period. Maybe it's with castles, or we are as glorious as the righteous, holy defenders on the ramparts, gleaming with their silver trumpets and their banners in the air, and the white walls and the blue roofed steeples, and that we are glorious and stainless in our defense when we stand up for our people with love. Make sure they know that. Make sure they see it from that perspective. Let me jump over here quickly, and we will look at the questions in the question widget. Rory at the very top here has written, rest in peace, Simon Turner, a member of my regiment who lost his life at 9/11. Thankfully, his name is on the memorial. Wow, brother. You have so much of a connection to what happened on that horrible day. I know that's traumatizing, and yeah, rest in peace. And our heart goes out to his family and what they're having to live with now. Everybody who lost family members on 9/11, our heart goes out to every single one of them. Thank you for sharing that, Rory. It's so tragic. And the guy you're listening to, Rory, has another connection, had to see the plane come down on the Pentagon. Son of the South writes here, my cousins and my dad fly the rebel flag in South Carolina, he writes. Beautiful state. Does it comport with Go Free to fly the rebel flag on our trucks? My dad and cousins said they like flying them on their trucks. Well, there are a few places that it looks as cool as on a truck, a nice truck. Make sure it's a nice truck. Does it comport with Go Free is your question. The question is more accurately asked, can you use the rebel flag when trying to, the Confederate flag? Can you use the Confederate? Because we weren't in rebellion when we, as Southerners, we seceded, legally seceded. But of course, check with your anti-white historians. We legally seceded, and we were a country, so we weren't in rebellion. But having said that, the question I think is really what you're getting at, Son of the South, is can you use the Confederate flag when you're trying to bring people over to the lexicon dialectics and maybe even the practice of Go Free? And the question, the answer is that it depends. Are you going to be in a place and with people who see the Confederate flag for what it means to us? Do they see it as love? Do they see it as a honoring of the valiant efforts of young men, old men, middle-aged men heading off to defend their homes Do they see it as an honoring of our Southern traditions, like the foods that we ate, the honor that we upheld in the South, the arts of the South? Do they see it as those things? So all of these different things that make up the South. If they do, well, then of course you can use that flag for that purpose. If they do not, then you do not use the Confederate flag. If they see the Confederate flag as a symbol in the anti-white narrative, then you are merely undermining your effort to try to help our brothers and sisters reclaim our destiny. Because as a consequence, they're just going to see the villain. You might as well fly some World War II flags. They're just going to see the villain in the anti-white narrative. To them, it means something completely different. And that is the narrative. The anti-white narrative is the one that dominates Western civilization because, folks, they have won. They have won. And we are trying to survive their mopping up of their victory and survive and reclaim our destiny and have those victories. It's possible, and we're doing it here. And this is a specific example of how we use intelligence instead of stupidity to reclaim our destiny. And that is that if you're going to have an opportunity to speak with people who feel the same way about the South and its symbols as you do, then you use the symbols that they identify with and see in the same way as a loving, wonderful thing as you see it. If you're going to be talking with folks who don't, if you're going to be out in the general public or something where there's going to be a lot of people, then what reigns supreme there is the anti-white narrative. And you are not going to be able to change the actionable definition. It's similar to saying, we're conservatives saying, well, let's, in Republicans saying, well, we're just going to redefine the concept racism because here in the dictionary it says. No, there's an actionable definition. We have to live with that. And we have to work within it. Thank you very much for that question. I appreciate it. The Son of the South also asks about German Girl in America. That was an imposter account. And if you followed the actual German Girl in America, then when you want to continue to consume her content, then by all means. But if you followed her because you thought that was actually her in the live chat, then just know that it was an imposter account, and we suspected right away. In fact, I reached out to her right away during the show to ascertain whether or not it was an imposter account. And we believed it to be and have confirmed it to be. And we have some more information that we're not going to be sharing. But just know that about the German Girl in America. Because we also had a question here from Franklin on the same subject of a German Girl in America. She's not actually white sympathetic whatsoever. As far as we could ascertain, she is potentially anti-white, and to what degree, maybe quite a bit. I mean, who knows? But okay. Yeah, well, there was the question by Blue Eyes Only, is she anti-white? She might be, but to what degree, who knows? Let's see. All right. Harbinger, Jason, tell us again about your short-lived career as a rapper after your parents got you a non-white teacher to help you learn. Well, no, it wasn't that due to your tied tongue. I'll just we have 14 and a half minutes, so I'll just very briefly say that I was severely tongue-tied all the way up until, what was it, last year? And which just means that my tongue was attached to the bottom of my mouth, all the way attached. And So there was a concern that I was not going to be able to pronounce words properly as I learned more and more of them. I was doing fine, but as I was learning more and more, they thought, is he going to not be able to pronounce words properly? So my parents, through the school, got me a speech therapist, and it was a lovely black woman. She was actually a quite nice black woman, but she did not pronounce things the way that we do. And so she began teaching me how to properly pronounce things. And I can so clearly remember, I guess it was first grade. I can so clearly remember looking up at her, and I was like, really? Is it okay? And then I would do the sound. I would say the word the way she wanted me to. And then my mother and father, was particularly my father, heard, and he said, "What? Say that again? How are you saying that?" And then my parents decided, all right, well, we don't need a speech therapist anymore, and he'll just figure it out how to pronounce words with his tongue tied like that, or he won't. He'll just sound funny. I figured it out somehow. Was able to work my tongue so that I could pronounce words. But then it was about a year and a half ago, whatever it was, 2 years ago. Gosh, it feels like a little closer, but I guess it's because we lost a year. And I had not all of it cut free, but a big chunk of it cut free. And I had to be on Red Ice that night to co-host their Friday show. And so I had that cut free, and then went on the Friday show. And I told Henrik, he's like, "How you doing?" And I said, "I don't know. My tongue's flopping all around my mouth. I just had it cut free. It was a mess." That's the story, Harbinger. Thank you. It was a fun. I could have ended up. Just imagine what I would have sounded like had I learned how to pronounce all my words that way when I was just a youngster. Might have stuck with me all these years. Jonas says, just started postgraduate study of English to get a Cambridge certificate. And since we use English in class and talk a variety of topics, I'll try to use the lexicon on my class there. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, let us know, brother. Try it out and let us know. All right. Let's see. What do we have? The announcements today. Oh, you know what I want to show you all? We're going to jump right on over to nowhiteguilt.org. And we're going to take a quick look over there because you are going to be amazed. And we don't need any, or do we? I don't think we do. Where is it? I don't see it on here. Oh, there it is. Okay. Here we are over on nowhiteguilt.org. And I want you first to see, now we mentioned this once before, but we're going to mention it again because we have here Go Free Game. You can hop on over there and you can play the Go Free Game. Your children can play the Go Free Game. It is epic. It was created by, what was his name over there? Western Kind Games? Was that it? Western Kind Games, I think. Well, get your raucous emojis going because Western Kind Games is none other than Fornal, the champion that is. We found out he was a ninja and some other things about him, but now we also find out that he is the man behind this totally epic game that teaches you. It says here, Go Free, A Guide to Aligning with the Archetype of Western Kind, is a book by Jason Köhne, and this is the game that you can play. It is a debate stimulator to practice the Go Free lexicon and dialectics. We are currently and might perpetually be in the development stage, writes Western Kind Games, which of course is for the epic champion. And it says, what does it say down here? Play Wagner and watch stars. Well, I won't press that because that might put some music. I don't know. Well, I'll check that. We'll check that for next time. But what we do is we'll come back here really quickly because we have another epic thing done, this time by our website genius. Now, you all know that we have a website genius, and we're going to keep the epic raucous emojis going for the website genius. If you come over here to downloads, and you'll see this right up on the top left, nowhiteguilt.org, and you click on the downloads, you'll find a number of things. The first thing I'm going to point out is that since we have all of these wonderful people coming over from Afghanistan, I know I have several thousand right down the road in the DC Expo Center, we now have these signs, these anti-white signs going back up in the neighborhoods. You've seen them. Hate has no home here. Of course, the anti-white concept, hate. Well, it just so happens that there are a couple, and you can see them here. Anti-white hate has no home here. nowhiteguilt.org. If you wanted to go over and I don't know, if you wanted to do something like this, I'm not saying that you should do this, but if you wanted to go over there and you wanted to download that and then take it to one of these online stores and make that into a sign for your front yard, that might be fun. Anti-white hate has no home here. Or you could download it and then post it on Twitter, on Gab, on Facebook, all over the place. You have that one. Then you also have, there's this one, Antiwhiteism has no home here, nowhiteguilt.org. Great opportunities to spread the message of love, hope, and redemption for everyone, even white people. Of course, I'm not telling you to do that, but I wanted to point those out, that those are available. Please check them out. And I don't know if I can say the name of the guy who created those. If he's with us, he can say, yeah, that was me, in the live chat. If not, we'll just keep it a secret. But if he does, then we will all celebrate him. Mini raucous emojis for the gentleman. But until or unless we see that, we are going to scroll down this way. We're going to scroll. You just scroll down. You see all these wonderful, there are leaflets, there are flyers. There's all kind of wonderful thing that you can download and you can share on your social media. And you can then pass around. You can make into signs. Boom! It was Fornull who made these, ladies and gentlemen. It was the great Fornull once again. Celebrate the man, folks. Celebrate the man for the great fruits that he produces. These are true champions. Can you imagine? Just tell me, what do you think your anti-white neighbor is? You know, when the anti-white, I got to wrap this up because we got to get out of here. I got a lot of work to do. Got to get right back to work on iteration 2. And also working on the audio version of Prometheus Rising. My God, it's going to be amazing. But imagine you have that anti-white neighbor, don't you? You know her. She's over there, and she is. Cats are wonderful, but her cat hates the fact that instead of just cleaning the cat with her hand, she licks the cat because they're crazy. Sees the cat do it, and she has that sign out front that says, "Hate has no home here." Well, you know what she's actually saying. She knows what she's really saying. What she's saying is, white people don't have a home here. White people who aren't anti-white are unacceptable to her. That's what she's saying. She's not saying that that she just objects to hatred, because nobody's really just hating. I mean, you would really have to search through a population to find somebody who's just hating this or that group or whatever, and it's just there's no reason, there's no actual thought to it. It's not like any concern for disease or any concern for criminality or nothing. It's just this blind hatred. It doesn't exist. You really have to search through a population to find the mentally unfit, unless you just go to the house where you find these hate has no home here signs, because those people are mentally unsound. She knows. She's sending an anti-white message to you, isn't she? Well, you just stake this in the yard, and this is as benign as possible. Anti-white hate has no home here, right? You can't hate white people. No hatred, right, lady across the street? Well, trust me, that bitch knows exactly what you are saying, that you object to anti-whiteism, that you know what she is saying, that you know she's anti-white. Of course, don't put this in your yard if you don't want to. You do whatever you want to do. And this is also, something we have up, but of course, don't use it. But you can use it, by going to a store and then producing it into a sign. that you can put stake into the yard. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. You scroll all the way to the bottom, and what do you find? What the website genius has done. Mr. V's research. Mr. V's research, ladies and gentlemen. All of that epic research that Mr. V has done so far that we have up in downloadable format that you can get everything on that anti-white villain Gad Sad is available right here for you to download. To find out about Gad Sad, you want to go into arguments with this abstractionist vile creature and debate the followers of his. Get this information. You find it on the downloads tab. You go all the way to the bottom because it's a downloadable Mr. V's research. Mr. V's research is available as PDF downloads, which are listed below. We'll check them out more next time, folks. But I wanted to make sure everybody had an opportunity to see that. The great Mr. V, his work is up on the website. And we're going to find a way to make sure that when people research about Gad Sad, they end up landing on that page in the future. Wouldn't that be marvelous? All the harm that he's done to our community, he and his supporters. We're going to jump down to the letter that you can use, the form letter that you can use against Derek Hook of Duquesne University is at the very top of the description of this video. So at the very top, this is the Sierra Oscar Bravo who said there was something moral about biologically white erasing people. There was a moral element to it, and he talked about it in his class. We want to see this SOB punished for his beliefs, his anti-white beliefs. We want to see all of those at Duquesne University who support this individual, who are not standing up and saying that they reject him and they reject the things. All of the alumni, everybody, the students, supporters of various types, they have to. We demand that they stand up and repudiate this so-called professor, Derek Hook, hooked on crack, hooked on anti-whiteism, because of the anti-white vile things that he has said. He is a vile human being. He has said vile things. We demand that Duquesne University dismiss him immediately and that no other university hire him. There is a downloadable letter right at the top from a cloud that I have available for you all to download from. And please do so. Send the letter. You could change it up a little bit, but keep the lexicon in there. That's what makes it powerful. We're going to be talking next week about Final Blossom, that's this magnificent champion of white well-being, produced a timeline video that only shares as much as a human can put together, gratis, out of his own time and work, a timeline of the community. It's on his channel on YouTube, Final Blossom's channel. We will share that here next week. Please, a big round of raucous emojis for the great Final Blossom and the work that he's been doing in service to white well-being. I really love that video, brother. Thank you so much for making it. The content creator that we want to share today is Promethean Promulgation. And you can find Promethean Promulgation on Twitter at twitter.com/P Promulgation. Twitter.com/P Promulgation. Thank you so much for your service to white well-being. Let's get over there and support each other, folks, by following each other on these different platforms. Go to the mailbag quickly, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that the great dear lady Fraulein Dresden has joined us. Welcome, dear lady. And thank you so much for joining us once again. We love you. And Promethean Promulgation asking, what did I do? We want people to follow you on Twitter because you're one of our greatest champions. And someone else who's a great champion coming right from the mailbag is Stephen, who financially gifted $20. Thank you, dear brother. Thank you so very much. I love opening my mail, snail mail, and finding that we have a letter or two from the wonderful folks out in the white sympathetic sphere. Stephen's one of the best. He says, strange enough. Now listen to this testimonial, folks, because we're going to be wrapping up here in just a moment. So if you have any final If, ands, or buts, please get them in quickly because we are rolling out on this Sunday. Magnificent, successful week that we are having, compelling the anti-whites. We see it. The sign is now there, folks. It's written in the stars. Already adopting our story to make their arguments. God, you got to love that. Stephen writes here, listen to this. Strange enough, I live in, and he gives the name of an area. I won't read it, which he says is a very anti-white city in, I won't say. However, when I wear my No White Guilt t-shirt, suddenly people say hello to me. 2 weeks ago, I was in, and he named a part of this very anti-white area, and he was cashing out. He was buying groceries, and there was a young man. He was mixed race, both black and white, and he was the one who was ringing Stephen up. And the young man said to Stephen, quote, "I like your shirt." And Stephen replied, "Thank you." And then the young man said it again. That he said, "I like your shirt. I wish more people thought like that." This is a mixed race young man working at the register, half black, half white. Stephen, it's an anti-white area. Stephen is wearing his No White Guilt t-shirt, which you can get one of your very own over at nowhiteguiltcollectibles.com, nowhiteguiltcollectibles.com. And this young man, both black and white heritage, says, "I like your shirt," reads the shirt, No White Guilt. "I wish more people thought like that." And Stephen said in reply that he said, "Yeah, me too." Stephen said he was stunned, but delighted when he left the store. Now, I have to ask you, how many multiracial, biracial people, whatever it might be, are going to see a socio-political statement, we could just say, for argument's sake, as we're wrapping up here, statement like that, no white guilt, a statement of, our identity, who and what we are as a people, and that we are not going to accept this white guilting anymore, which anti-whites immediately interpret and know that stands in that you're touching the thread, the third rail. You're touching the line that they need in order to victimize you. They need you to feel white guilt. That's why I chose that so many years ago. That's all that matters to it. All comes down to, for white people, you have to lower your defenses so that anti-whites can victimize you. All of their arguments, all of their pretexts work toward that end. When you say no white guilt, you're saying, I'm not falling for that. I'm not lowering my defenses. You will not be able to easily victimize me. And in fact, I'm going to speak in a way that outs you as the immoral party. I had so many arguments with people who obviously had, they were headstrong, stupid strong, whatever it might be, just dumb, just midget wits, midget sticks, whatever they were. And they said, no, it's not powerful enough. All those years, all you guys, why don't you just be a man and ring me up and say you apologize for that? Just ring me up and say, yeah, you were wrong when you told me that. No, you have to say, you have to say things that are violent and make you sound strong and all of that was just a facade. You were being very foolish. I tried to argue with you about it. I tried to explain to you. Perhaps you just couldn't have complex things explained to you. I don't know what it is, but you still haven't come through and apologized, and you can now see the success of it. They say, oh, no white guilt is a defensive statement. You're not accomplishing anything. You just look weak with it. Well, except it wins, loser. Except it wins. And that's where we are today, folks, with another major victory. And you all are part of that victory. And I thank you so much for being a part of that victory. Every single one of you are a change agent in the world today. You can be as productive and as effective as folks that we name quite regularly for the things they do. People like Yiz, people like Brandt, people like Naderific, people like Nathaniel, who wrote that letter that you all can then download. That was Nathaniel, and we can thank him for that, for doing that. People, all the people on the outreach team, all of these champions, you can be effective like they are. You need to be effective like they are. We are recapturing our destiny. You can say to your family that you were there, that as the years go by and we recapture our destiny and we form a people out of a deracinated race, you will be able to say that you were there, that you weren't one of the ones that made a difference in our world. I want to get a big round of raucous emojis to Ron for financially gifting $25 US. God bless you, brother. $25 over there on Cash App. And he writes, noble brother, for the good General Robert E. Lee. God bless you for that. God bless you. I have to, it really hurt my soul to see what they did to that. And when I saw what they did to that statue, when I saw that they actually cut it into pieces, something definitely changed in me, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. This is an evil anti-white world we live in, and you defeat evil with good, and that's what we're doing here in service to white well-being. We also had someone financially gift over on Odysee, and it was a $5 financial gift, and I don't on the screen. It was Slots. It was the great Slots financially gifted, and he writes here, too many continue using white negative language. We have to stop using white negative language. If you want to refer to puppies, call them anti-white puppies. There you go. Exactly, brother. That's the great Slots. Thank you very much for the financial gift. We'll do the math once we're away from here and see exactly how much they took. But thank you very much for that over there on Odysee. Do that, folks. If you don't know what it is already, then know this. You can be white sympathetic in this world. That's so many folks that we speak to are white sympathetic. It's either overt or it's implied. And most people who are white sympathetic, they approach it that are overt about it, or approach it with white negative language. They use the language given them by anti-whites. They talk in ineffective ways. They try to invert. You know, we're talking about the victory over the anti-whites because they're inverting anti-white and saying anti-black racism. That's a great victory. We see it as a great victory. We see people who are white sympathetic who will just take a slogan out of the anti-white narrative and invert it and think that they've done something that is mightily powerful. Or they, of course, don the villain character, the antagonist in the anti-white narrative. That speech of the antagonist, those ugly things, those ugly topics, the malevolence that they demonstrate, we refer to that as white negative speech. We here have white positive speech. We're focused on us. We're focused on our well-being, and therefore, by way of us in the Western civilization that we have created and continue to create, the well-being of everybody and everything on planet Earth. Remember that when you speak to your children. Remember that when you speak to your friends, family, strangers, and most importantly, remember that when you're speaking to yourself. Because if you're going to be able to show the world love, your children love, our people love, especially when they seem like they really don't deserve it, you're going to have to love yourself first. And I will get you started. I will crank it up for you because I love you. We love you. There is much more that you can do in this world, much more potential that you have. We're going free, folks, and we will be going free the rest of this week and for the rest of our lives, and we'll continue winning. Put that big smile on your face. The signs are out there. The stars are out. Start counting them because here we come.